freak.
You can't handle the truth. You can't handle the truth.
What do all men in power want? More power.
My name is Luca-Zanna. I was an Italian by birth, and I became an American by choice. Our lives and freedoms are in danger. This is not a drill. If you're listening to this broadcasting, you are the resistance.
All systems go.
Welcome to Love, Guns, and Freedom. Here we go, guys. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca-Zanna on KTOX 1340 AM and on United States to the FM network. Another Sunday, another show. I want to say, the last Sunday and the last 2 Sundays in a row, we've been focusing a lot on the campaign in Mohave County about the county sheriff. It's getting very nasty, I'm telling you. I like to try to be detached a little bit, and I try to be professional. The idea for me, as I said, I am not even anymore a Republican, so I'm here as a person that my goal is to give the microphone to everybody who has something to say that is in the interest of the public, okay? Of course, I got my opinion, as you know. But at the same time, if you have a point to make about a candidate, of course, I don't want slandering people. I like to always bring facts. And I also like to invite the other side. All I'm saying, this is the purpose of the show. And I like to also keep it always, even when I disagree with people, after all, it's just freaking politics. And don't get me wrong, it's a big word, because after all, politics is the way we can live our life, the way we can choose what we eat, how we dress even, and how to completely be a free human being or be slaves. That's what comes down to politics. But at the same time, I think we need to keep it in perspective. So that's why I always say, come on the show, and I always want to invite people who have a disagreement with me. I want to invite you. I want you here. And if you are on Facebook, for example, you have some problem about, you think that I'm doing something that is not right, or you don't like what I do, I'm not hiding from you. I invited you. And I want to say one more time, I had the wife of the candidate for sheriff, Mr. Schuster. On Facebook, she said that after the last interview about Corey Merriman being sued, another candidate for sheriff, by this businessman in Mohave County, I was being somehow partial to her. Guess what? I don't even want to debate you on Facebook. I invite you here, you and your husband running for sheriff, and bring me the facts, and I also serve you some coffee, some of my great Zanna Coffee, and some Italian biscuits. So we can talk about that as civil people. And by the way, after I invite you here, and you don't come, and of course, not only you don't come, you block me on Facebook, and your husband unfriend me, doesn't really bring you points. If you throw a rock, and you start this sort of, accusation, and I'm not even throwing rocks back at you, I just invite you here as a person open to, I really want to hear what I did wrong, please come. And you run, you don't look that good, huh? Not really. Anyway, but that's another story. Now, we got bigger problems. All problems, they're important. Federal elections. As you know, I completely gave up my Republican Party card more than 2 years ago. And I'm very happy. I burned the card. Don't get me wrong. This is the way the game is being played. You got to pick some sort of a team. My problem was that I realized a long time ago that both teams, they are on top by the same masters. And you can see that. What you see, any difference from Obama and Bush? Not really. Obama just did exactly what Bush did, 10 times worse. Now it comes down to this situation that regardless about what you think about Trump or not, you may be a supporter or not, let's face the reality exactly also what this Republican Party has been doing. And it's been exposed finally doing it. Disregarding exactly what the people want. The same story also on the Democrat side. Look, as much as I hate seriously the idea of a socialist Sanders, but it's not really different from another pretty much cronyist capitalist Clinton, look what exactly the Democrat Party did too. Sanders get all the votes by the people, and Hillary, by magic, get all the delegates. So there is some sort of it's an illusion. I really believe these elections, they're just to pacify us. And now what they've been doing to Trump, regardless you like him or not, that's not even the point. It's an insult. It's an insult to the American people when they completely ignore, in the same party, they normally, they always back any candidate, no matter who is, they need to back up the Republican candidate. Now, you hear the Bush, you hear, all these other, Paul Ryan, all these other worms, seriously, they're plain worms. Okay, that's all I can say on the radio. I would like to say more. Disgusting worms that they completely say they're going to vote probably for Hillary. I mean, that's not a show you. Now, I want to bring on a guy that I've been knowing. He's not a guy, he's a man I've been knowing for a long time, and he's a great activist, especially in the legal immigration movement, against the legal immigration movement. Exactly his name is Little Dog. And I like to call him Robert, honestly. I don't like the dog part too much. But, it's Little Dog from the Mountain Minutemen. Robert, are you there?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Long time not talking to you, man. Last time you've been on the show almost probably 1.5 years. You put me in trouble, because I couldn't edit fast enough. When you talk, you get mad. But we will do better today. Listen to me. First of all, congratulations. I heard that you are a state delegate for the state of Nevada for Donald Trump, correct?
Yes, I'll be up in Carson City this weekend voicing my opinion.
Very good. Now, so you're the perfect person, because I really want to talk here as Americans, we are facing probably the most important elections of our time. I really believe that Ronald Reagan said, we are one generation away from complete tyranny, something like that. I think we are now one election away from complete hell. But my point is, does it really matter? Does really, it is an illusion, or there is something that we can still do through the process of the president? So first of all, I want to say, witnessing in first person all the different shenanigans, and I say fraud, for me it's a fraud, that the Republican Party at top level in Washington is being playing against Trump. What do you think as a Republican about this situation?
Well, I'll be honest with you, Luca. To me, it shows fear. Donald Trump has got, the mystery kind of background. Of course, he's a billionaire, and he's a financier, and he's a mega contractor and whatnot. Being an illegal immigrant advocate or an advocate for border security, he has my vote. I don't care about his philosophy on, anything else other than it seems to be on the political plate in America today. Abortion, Planned Parenthood, none of it. None of it's important to me. For 10 years, I've stood on the border praying to the sweet baby Jesus that we get somebody that will step up to the plate and secure our border. And this man, Donald J. Trump, has come out and said that he will build a wall and he will make Mexico pay for it. Now, I watched the interview he had with Vicente Fox, prior to him catching the Super Tuesday. And then immediately after the Super Tuesday voting, where he landslided East Coast and turned it red, here comes Vicente Fox with his tail between his legs, trying to get Donald Trump to meet him and Donald Trump, his reply was, get your wallet.
Okay.
Because the wall is going in and we are going to secure the border.
Okay. Now, let me ask you one thing. 1 second only. This is I tell you, what it says today about illegal immigration, I agree with you. You know that. We stand on the same side.
Yes.
My only concern, I want to be honest, because, I wish that 80%, even 60% of all the things that he's saying today is going to be the things he's going to do tomorrow. The problem that, for example, in illegal immigration, I found more than one clip in a not much more, probably that 10 years ago, 8 years ago, about his stance on illegal immigration. When he was asked about the deportation, and he was completely against that. And I understand everybody can change. We were all ignorant at some point, but there are many things that I am kind of questioning. How really can somebody change so much so fast? So are you aware of that the position about illegal immigration, especially the, let's say, the amnesty factor and the idea to deportate illegal aliens? A few years ago, Trump is on record, and he was completely in favor to skip and do an amnesty. Are you aware of that part?
Yes, absolutely. But that was a long time ago. Now we're facing different times, different, how do they say, circumstances alter cases, like broken noses alter faces. And I think Donald Trump understands the problems in depth as with the illegal immigration issues having an effect on our economy and our society as a whole. Now, it's my theory, my belief, that come November, once Mr. Trump is elected, We are going to see massive self-deportation. As you can tell by the massive protests going across the nation, most of these are put together by George Soros, Move On, and the La Raza and the Mincha. And these are the anti-American globalists, the Reconquista concept about America. Well, like I said, whenever Trump's position on any other topic that's going on in America today, it, to me, is irrelevant. If he's going to come in here and he's going to put a wall up or support the United States Border Patrol and turn the tide on making America great again, in essence of putting America back for Americans, he's got my vote. Like I said, I'm a delegate. I'll be up in Carson City this coming weekend. My wife and I are taking 9 days. We're going to Tahoe and hang out for a few days, and we'll go to the convention. And then hopefully, and our prayers are answered, he will become the president, the 45th president of the United States of America. And I believe in my heart of hearts that he will step up to the plate and complete the things that he's promised. I believe that. I really do.
Listen, at this point, the sad thing that we are right now in this situation, we are between the hammer and the anvils. I mean, seriously, we are between a question mark Trump that we pray that at least on some issues is going to confirm and, keep the promise of what he's saying right now during the election. And I tell you, there are other things, as you say, we don't agree on him, I tell you, but that's not even the point. If we focus right now on immigration, and then we have other side, we have somebody that should spend right now at least time in jail, being under investigation. We're talking about Hillary Clinton, that anybody else would have done a tenth of what she did.
She
would be already
locked away for life.
Yeah, seriously. And
any common man or woman had attempted or done anything that's been done by the Clinton Foundation or by Hillary Clinton, they'd have to pump daylight to us, brother. It'd be over.
Exactly.
And you know as well as I do.
So this is between Benghazi and between all the other things she's been supposed to be charged, she's still out there smiling and somehow laughing at us. And then we have a declared socialist, Sanders, that another thing that scares the hell out of me. Seriously, thinking about that 90% or more of what we work for, they're going to be pretty much taking it from us. And the government owns us. We're going to be complete slaves, really. When I say...
We pretty much are right now, so we've got to break these shackles. We've got to get ourselves into a position where this is the last grace chance for America, Luca.
I understand.
And you and I know we went through the Bush thing. Now we've suffered through the Obama administration. It's time for change for America. And I believe, like I said before, and I reiterate, in my heart of hearts, I believe Donald J. Trump is the answer to the call, the answer to our prayers. For 10 years, I stood at Patriot Point down there on the border, begging for help. I mean, even from the Bush administration to the Obama administration, and all I saw was more traffic and less protection. And I'm praying to God in heaven that Donald Trump will reverse this process. If nothing else, let's turn the Border Patrol loose. Let them do their jobs. That's the problem. We need the Border Patrol to be able to function to their full extent of their abilities. And the problem is that they're not. This Obama machine is handcuffed the Border Patrol, and the Border Patrol is what's protecting our families at night. And people in America, they don't even realize what the Border Patrol does. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
They look at the Border Patrol as another entity of the DHS. Well, they don't realize that the first line of defense on our borders in the middle of the night are the United States Border Patrol.
I completely understand one thing. We are like a bleeding nation right now. That means really we have no more skin. And the skin is our borders, okay? Intentionally is being broken.
You're right.
And without the borders, we never can control, first of all, even the integrity of our political system. When we're going to have now millions or more people already here, by de facto, by amnesty, being able to vote, we the American people, we're going to be completely excluded from the picture. And, all they need to do, enough zombies out there brainwashed by the TV, and they can control them very easily and remind them that this is the democracy in their mind. So 51% of the zombies can pretty much steal all the rights of the rest of the American people. So I really believe that as much as I'm much libertarian in many other issues, on this one I completely not agree with the Libertarian Party. We must have real borders. We must have a real immigration system. Otherwise, we lose our sovereignty. And unfortunately, this is not a country like in our founding fathers. There were no welfare. Now, every illegal aliens that comes here, they can get so many benefits, and we are forced to pay with the extorted money from our tax dollar. So this is no more like the America of 1700. You come here, if you make it, you make it. If you don't make it, you come back. No, you come here, and they start to suck the blood out of us. So we gotta stop this. That's for sure. I pray with you, seriously. If one thing really, Trump would be honest in the future to keep his word of what he's saying today, know what he used to say the last 8 years or 10 years ago, at least on the legal immigration, to do it right. And I tell you, it would be a start, for sure.
I believe he's going to do it, Luca. I really do. I'm so involved. I'm so committed and so convinced that I'm actually a delegate for him, and if I might even end up in Ohio with the national. Depends on what goes on here in Carson City.
Now,
but that's how deeply I am involved in this. There's a couple of things that Trump has got going for him that makes me stand up for him. A is his stand on border security, and his desire to get the political prisoners released and turn the properties back over to the states and get away from this BLM overreach and the federal government overreach is going on in our lands in America. And actually, I think he is going to be the last great hope. If we don't pull this off, if Trump does not get elected by, either hook or crook or the elitist shenanigans that they're pulling, there won't be any more elections in America. I really believe that with all my heart.
I mean,
America is doomed.
Jeb Bush, it's a complete, neocon Republican. He said it on record that is not going to support or vote for Trump. So I think at this point he may well vote probably for Hillary, I guess. And what's happening here, Luca, is the New World Order cabal is showing their feathers. They're showing their colors. I mean, they're running scared. Look at the Bushes. They're not going to vote. They're not even going to the convention. Paul Ryan coming out saying that he can't support Trump at this time. Come on, give me a break. These are the New World Order globalists that have taken control of our administration that we have to remove. And by even if it means arresting them or whatever it's going to take. We sat through 2 years when we took back the House and the Senate 2 years ago when we turned the House and the Senate red. Now we have to take the executive office back and turn it red too. We've got to get away from this liberal, progressive socialist mindset that's being embedded into the kids in America, and it's causing the trauma across the board in this country. Robert, I have only one question. As you said, the Congress, red, and that was blue. By the end of the day, it's a funny red. Honestly, it's a dye red because, look, we got all these Republicans in Congress, starting from the Tea Party movement a few years ago, and they all stab us in the back. I mean, look at Paul Ryan, look at Bonner.
These are the elitists. These are the globalists that are, they've got blackmail going, they've got pressure going, they're buying the votes. They're buying, this is corruption at the highest levels, amigo. We're looking at corruption at the highest level, right into the executive office. I mean, how can America sit back and believe that Benghazi was caused by a video? Yeah. I mean, we all know, people who were born, not last night, or, realize that there's more to it than just,
But even before we go to about what was caused, the fact that they could have given a chance to these people that they were on the ground, to the ambassador, to be saved.
My theory is Ambassador Stevens was getting ready to blow the whistle on the arms deals.
Yes, that's a fact,
Look
by the way.
Scalia dead. Brian Terry dead. I mean, the list is huge. I mean, where do we start?
Yeah.
These are all people that have stood for America and have been tromped on by this globalist elite faction in power right now. And we have to get control of our country back. And Donald Trump, in my heart of hearts, I believe that he will do that.
Now, at this point, the good thing about it, that we will see pretty soon, and I just hope if it's true, I hope they're not going to try to kill him, because I tell you, if there is so much...
That's an extreme possibility, my friend. I pray for him daily.
Yep.
The elitists are terrified They're going to lose their little golden box that they have put together over the decades. And once Trump gets in office, and he will get in office, he will change the direction of this country. It's like a big ship. You know, it's not going to turn on a dime. It's going to take a few years, but he'll turn the boat around. He's going to make America great again. I certainly believe that with all my heart.
Listen, I want to be honest. You know, there are a lot of things about Trump, even today, beside what he used to be, and now he changed his mind, that, you know, I'm not really a fan of. But I must tell you one thing I like about it, it seems like you're really irritating the hell out of the Republican Party, and I like that. You know, that one thing.
The smell of fear is so deep in the air, Luca. They're terrified. They're terrified of Trump election.
I just hope it's true and it's not another wrestling match. You know, sometimes they set up this almost chess game, the globalists.
Yeah.
You know, they want to make us believe something, then they lead us in that direction, and we fall for it. But we don't really have any other chance besides, you know, probably going to a party that we know is not going to have a chance right now, as much as I agree with many points, but the Libertarian Party right now is not going to fix it. You know, we're going to give it the vote to Hillary.
Look at our options. Look at our options, Luca. Bernie Sanders or Hillary Clinton.
I know. It's scary, man.
Obvious.
It's scary.
You know,
it's scary.
It's very scary. It's terrifying.
No, and another thing really I'm concerned, you know, not only the illegal immigration from south of the border or wherever they're from, the fact that now we are facing, let's see, it was bugging here, the fact that we are facing these hordes of planned invasion from Muslim countries. This is not about helping refugees. This is about a planned invasion to take over America from within, like a fifth column, you know, like happened already in Europe. And look at now in England now, listen, you can be any religion you want, that's fine. But when you have a religion that tells you that you're better than me, and I need to be subjected, and I need to be, let's say, subdued and converted, or by force, or by free will, I have a problem with that religion. So for me, it's very important that we must at least keep a tab who's coming here, and we don't want to create a group only that is going to take over another group and supposed to be an assimilation, and, you know, that's the point. So one thing I tell you about Trump I like, that is the only one that has the balls to talk about stopping this completely flood of refugees that on top we are paying for them. It's insane. I mean, but that's the point.
Yes, it's exactly insane. It's absolutely insane. We're paying for our own demise.
Exactly. So I hope that's right there. It's very important. But let me
see, I used to always say secure the border. You know, I was always concentrating on the southern border. Now I've changed my venue. Now it's secure the borders. With the election of Trudeau and the importation of all the Syrians he's got coming into Canada, they're going to be seeking refuge in America through our northern borders now, because our northern borders are less secure than the southern border has ever been. Mm-hmm. So my biggest fear now is we're going to be catching this invasion into the northern states from the radical Muslim element that's been pumped into Canada. Yeah. And people are totally oblivious to the fact that, you know, we all concentrate on the southern border issue, which is huge. Don't get me wrong. It's a massive problem on the southern border, but I got a feeling we got a bigger problem developing on our northern borders through, you know, Idaho and Montana up in the northern quadrant and Washington State.
But you know what?
I think
you're right. This northern border, but now at this point, every border, but more important, we're already bringing them here by pretty much Obama amnesty. Even it's not an amnesty, this refugee program that is completely a takeover. I mean, we are paying for their tickets. There is no any type of vetting, no background check. I mean, I tell you something. I got my mom trying to bring here to America, okay, with a visa, right. And I'm a naturalized American, and normally it should be pretty easy. I'm going through so much pain in the butt and paying hundreds and hundreds of dollars. And I say, you know what, Mom, you should go to Syria, put yourself a little burqa on, learn a couple of, yeah, seriously, get a couple of words of whatever Arabic you must learn, and then go to Mexico and cross the border and wave Obama leaflet and, you know, say, I love Obama. You're going to get free pass.
They'll put her on welfare, put her on Social Security, and give her Obamacare.
No, seriously, but the interesting thing is it's already happening right now. I mean, we have, I don't know how many hundreds of thousands of refugees. They're getting free fare, free airplanes, $1,000 Walmart card. That was the latest one. They got lawyers paid by our tax dollar. They don't even need to go any type of background check, really. They just bring them here. and we don't really know who they are. But my point, even if I knew who they are, there is a point that if we want to create really the melting pot, and this is not like Luca redneck born in Alabama, okay? I was born in Rome, and I still have an accent. So I was even born here. My point is, I believe in the melting pot. I don't believe in one pot made just of one soup. The point is, when we get for example, about the refugees, more than 95% of the refugees, they're just Islamic, okay? Muslims.
Yeah, we don't know who they are. And now he's telling America he's going to have 10,000 in here by September. Yeah. He's also offering $13,000 some dollars a month to illegal immigrant children. Yeah. And that's more than I make on my retirement. And I'm retired and I get a good check, but I don't make $13,000 a year on it.
Yeah, and this is my point. You know, we by design, this man, of course, is just the puppet Obama, but the people behind, they want to destroy America. They're bringing all this one group, like in Europe, and they want to use the Muslim. You know, you say the radical Muslim. I'm sorry. If you read the book word by word, and you're a true believer, like, you know, or you accept it all, or you don't accept it. You don't just pick and choose. And unfortunately, you know, I don't have any problem with any religion. I don't even talk about religion on this show. Seriously, I keep it for myself. But when we have a religion that in their books states that their goal is to submit the rest of the world, pretty much, and if you are not a follower of this religion, you are an infidel, and you have three options. Or you're going to be converted by force, or you're going to be paying a tax, okay, or you're going to be chop your head. That's pretty much the idea. So this is a kind of and it's proven. Look in Sweden, look in Germany, look what they're doing. They don't assimilate. They live by the standard. They want the Sharia law. And even the people that they are less extreme, let's say they are more, I don't know, open-minded, but at the end of the day, they must follow their book. So I have a serious problem with that, because I think their book is not really compatible with our Bill of Rights. That's my problem.
No, it's not.
You know, that's the point.
They're here to dominate, not assimilate, and you can see through the La Raza programming, it's the same thing. The Reconquista concept is in full effect. The youth and the Hispanic youth that are wrapped up in the La Raza project, they burn American flags, and you know. I don't have to tell you, you know their mindset. They want America to be Mexico. Now the Muslims want this to be under Sharia law. It's time for the American people to stand up and say enough's enough. And the way to do that is by the ballot box. And by God, if we can't do it by the ballot box, I'm afraid it's going to be by the bullet box. And I don't want to see that happen, my friend. You know that.
I know that.
I want this to be as peaceful as possible.
Speaking about violence, you know, I never really, lately I didn't go to events, but I've been watching it on TV. It's kind of amazing. Never happened before with any other candidates, really. Even the the worst that we had before. But I never seen all this organized, planned. This is not spontaneous, really. There were big groups behind this protest. That, you know, always say, you know, it's good to protest. It's part of your right, but your protest right stops when you infringe on my rights to attend an event. So when somebody starts to block a highway and you start to throw rocks at my car, you got a big problem there. Okay.
That's right.
So I mean,
these guys are financed, and this organized by the Hillary crew, the Move On George Soros organization. They want the New World Order. They want NAFTA, SHAFTA. They want the American sovereignty gone, and they'll do anything and everything they can to make that happen. That's why I fear for Donald Trump's life. I really do.
In Nevada, where you are you in Vegas area? Where are you exactly?
Yeah, I'm in Las Vegas.
Perfect. So when did you go to event or any type of meeting? Probably did you go to see him live lately, right? I mean, did you go to meet?
I was at a convention here in Las Vegas. There was no protesters. Actually, my wife being Hispanic, we hooked up with some like-minded Hispanics who were voting for Trump, and she has got kind of a system going now, hashtag this Mexican's voting for Trump, and she's catching a lot of traction on it here in Clark County. The thing is, a lot of people in Clark County, Nevada, we know Nevada has been a kind of like a center focal point for a lot of the resting spot for the illegals because, landscaping, work's available and whatnot. But you're seeing a backlash across the county and through the state where they're tired of it. I want to see a situation where we don't have to press one for English no more. I mean, I'm sick and tired of the colonization that's going on within the nation. And that's exactly what's going on, Luca. They're trying to colonize our country. They're trying to browbeat us into submission. Like I said, I'm praying for a ballot box resolution, but if things go sideways and Trump should get injured or hurt or get out of it, and Hillary or Sanders should take control of the helm, I believe that we're looking at a violent revolution within the country, and I believe that with all my heart. And I don't want to see that happen. That's why I'm spending so much energy, so much time, and so much money on pushing for the Trump election. We gotta get this thing. We gotta get some common sense back into how the country's operated. We gotta shut down the borders. We gotta turn back the Muslim invasion. We gotta concentrate on the American people. We're in a tailspin, Luca, and have been for decades. I mean, this goes back, even back to before Bush, So now's the opportunity. Now we have the opportunity to make a significant change in the progress of this nation, in the direction of our travel. We have to think about our kids and our grandkids and the future of this nation. And that's a fact, my friend.
Listen, I just hope, I tell you, I want to be very honest. I want to be hopeful that 30% of the things that he's saying today is going to stick tomorrow, and this is not just another plan to deceive us, like, for example, the big change from 8 years of Bush, that even the Republicans finally will start to wake up of the fraud that this man was doing, and everybody by jerk reaction, like they went to Obama, and they were ignoring his voting record. So I just hope that there is really some, let's say, truth in the things that he's saying, even if I don't agree with everything, at least in few things that he's saying, we need them right now. I really believe we need to, before we try to fix anything, we need to close these borders to see who's in this country,
Absolutely. I mean, look what's going on. Mitt Romney and all these globalists are all stepping up against Trump. And what they're doing is they're showing their colors. And these are the people that we thought at one time would be great representatives. Paul Ryan, I thought he would be a great vice president, and I thought Romney would be a great president.
No, I never thought that.
What a joke. What a joke. You know what I mean?
With Romney.
So we got Obama, and that's even a bigger joke. Now we have the opportunity to change the direction of the travel of this nation, and we have to rally behind Donald Trump. Like I say, whatever his policies are, his thoughts on, or anything else in the political realm, I don't care. I don't care. If he can make Vicente Fox apologize to him and tell Vicente Fox that the wall got 10 feet high and mean it, and I believe he means it, and I believe Mexico will pay for the wall, or maybe not a wall, but a virtual wall, or at least unload, turn the Border Patrol loose where they can get a grip on what's going on. And that, to me,
one thing I tell you, I understand. No, this is important. I wish another thing he would have really touched, like unfortunately nobody else but Ron Paul did at the time, was the real master of right now wants our country. And it's not just today. This has been since 1913. The reality that we have a central bank called Federal Reserve, and is as federal as a Federal Express. And at the end of the day, we pretty much had to pay interest on every dollar they create out of thin air. And we had to back that interest with real work. It's called income tax. So I wish Trump would address that, but it seems like nobody wants to address it. Listen, just to change 1 second topic from Trump to a reality that unfortunately is very serious right now. A few years ago, we were talking about FEMA, and of course Homeland Security, even worse, with this new civilian force that they were like a bunch of kids, probably in their 16s. And by the way, it's funny that there was an article on Time magazine at the time. On the cover, you can see these Homeland Security young recruits, all dressed up like, almost some sort of futuristic movie. All they were carrying these soft air rifles and simulating some sort of tactical training. And they were saying this is the new Homeland Security for domestic terrorists. People used to laugh at that. And this was, by the way, not a conspiracy. It was on the cover of Time magazine. And, something interesting was that most of these little wannabe Gestapo kids, on their photo, at least on the main photo, I don't know, maybe it's a coincidence, and I don't care if you're white, black, or brown. I couldn't care less. But they have their problem. I was looking at most of these kids, they look like not Caucasian. They look mostly like minorities or whatever you want to call them, you know. And now people, they were laughing that 5-6 years ago. I'd like to remind that these are official documents, and this is also part of the Obamacare implementation. These kids now, from 16 years old, and from the air rifle, they graduated to probably M16 or MP5, and they are right now probably in their 20s. Okay, so we already hear the civilians' national security force, just as powerful, just as strong, just as well-funded, is out of the mouth of the ass there. Okay, so what do you know anything else about that? Is something that could be, we should really be concerned right now, especially that now we implementing it with the billions of rounds of and the military vehicle in every police station and things. What do you think about that?
Well, I think that Jade Helm that went on here a few months back was pre-positioning military equipment in key locations across the nation, and I believe that President Obama is working covertly to supply sleeper cells across the nation. I know for a fact, as being my experience on the border, I have seen groups of 10 and 20 young men marching in military formation across the border. I called the Border Patrol and had them vanished, where the Border Patrol had never even knew that they were there. Now, whether it's complacency, whether it's they're involved, I can't answer that. But I have seen. I mean, I'm ex-military myself. I'm 7th Infantry. You know, I'm ex-infantry. I know what a formation looks like. I know what how to march. And I've seen groups of 10s and 20 marching across the border in California and in Arizona and in New Mexico and in Texas. So you can't tell me that there aren't sleeper cells already embedded within the inner cities across the nation that aren't being supported by this corrupt machine that's in the White House. And I believe that with all my heart.
No, I agree. I agree. I really believe we've been already invaded, and the fifth column, it's already here. We have Chinese troops already on U.S. soil, training in New York and stationed also in Hawaii for the first time in U.S. history. Means why we go there and provoke them, but at the same time we bring them here. We have a FEMA agreement in 2012, I think it was December, was out of the article of the New American, directly from the FEMA.gov website, that FEMA, in case of any national emergency, will use Russian special troops on U.S. soil to keep the peace. And we know very well now who we have the last 8 years at the White House. I think is a complete Trojan horse that is, first of all, is completely destroying our military psychologically, morally, and of course also we had the lowest level of defense, before World War II. We completely abolished, by the way, our air defense system at the southern border. Now we relying on Mexico, and we are neutering also the stand of our soldiers, bringing the women, everything else. And now we have already, in my opinion, foreign troops on U.S. soil. And that point could be NATO, could be Russia, we don't know. But if they want to disarm the American people, they will use these troops. And I really believe since Mr. Kerry, the scumbag, Secretary of State, in 2013.
He just said a speech at a college last week where he told the college students to be prepared for a borderless nation.
Wow.
The audacity.
Wow.
The audacity.
Wow. That's on the open. They're implementing it. But I really believe that's why, because of people like you, and I put myself in too, because, I stand with you, especially on this topic, sovereignty. They want us out. And if they cannot die us out, they will come to try to get our guns. They will try to also physically eliminating us. And I really believe what you said, these special groups of sappers, or whatever you want to call them, they're already infiltrated here. And I really believe they already got down names and places and people. Because the first people they want out is people like you, veterans. They got already your list down of all the millions of veterans. And remember when a few years ago there was a computer laptop lost by accident, I think it was a fast food, by one of these government high-rank bureaucrat with the 25 million records of all the U.S. veterans and with addresses and type of diseases and medical condition, and it was lost. What do you think about that? That's not like giving to the enemy.
I think that's pretty convenient for the left wing and the progressives and the radicals that want to take away the nation. I think that's pretty convenient for them. like I said, I'm 65 years old, and I've been in the trenches now for the past decade on this illegal immigration issue. And as long as Trump is this gentleman is going to stand up and say we will secure the border, he's got my vote, Luca. He's got my vote. I'll go to the grave with him if I have to.
All right, man. Listen, good luck for your experience as a state delegate, and we'll see what happens. I really believe something. It may happen anytime, because if this is really genuine, they don't want to let it happen. Regardless that we like him or not, if he's really out of their control, Donald Trump, they don't want this let it happen. So I really hope nothing's going to...
We have to pray for Donald Trump, and we have to pray for America, Luca.
All right, my friend. Listen, my best to you and your lady, and congratulations again for your experience as a marriage, okay?
Thank you. I'm loving it.
Very good. So, listen, maybe, you know what, give me a call after your situation at the convention. Let me know what happened. I really would like to know also what tricks the Republican Party is trying to play on you guys, because this is disgusting for me now, what they're doing.
They're trying to steal the delegates. That's why it's so important that we go, that I make appearance in Carson City this week. I mean, this weekend, coming weekend. It's imperative that we stand our ground.
Very good.
To show them that the people are going to be behind him 100%.
All right, very good. Listen, let you go. Thank you, my friend. I'll keep you posted. Thank you. Okay, guys, you're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca-Zanna. Don't go away, because we're going to have an exciting final part of the first hour. I have with me, came all the way from Phoenix, Paul Wittenberger. Yes, not only is this great guy, he does great documentaries about what in the world is praying, and so many beautiful movies and documentaries about what's going on in the world. But also he's helping me out, sharing the Zanna Coffee around the world, and I really appreciate his help. But today he came for another reason. He came because he went all the way up here, to test and try and shoot the Don't Trade on Us, the Freedom Rifle by Zanna, the most affordable military-grade AR-15 in the M4 configuration, chamber in the 223 Wild, that you can shoot 5.56 NATO and also 223, 4 minutes of angle, and that's amazing, without benches. So we had a great time at the range, and we talk a little bit about what's going on with the latest documentary. So don't go away, you're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca-Zanna.
Don't tread on us.
Do you want social justice? Now I give you social justice. The Zanna way. Don't Trade on Us, the Freedom Rifle by Zanna. The most affordable military-grade semi-automatic AR-15 rifle in M4 configuration, chambered in 223 Wild, that can shoot both 5.56 NATO and 223 Remington. 4 minutes of angle for just $499, made in the USA. Get your Freedom Rifle now. We need every law-abiding American armed with knowledge and at least one military rifle, ready to defend good against evil. With every Don't Trade on Us rifle, you will get free parchment replica of the United States Constitution, free digital CD, Don't Trade on Us, free ebook, How to Become a Rifleman, free t-shirt, Slaves Are Never Armed, I Am Not a Slave, free 30 rounds magazine where allowed by the law, free laser engraved ejection port, Don't Trade on Us, for just $499. Go to www.freedomrifle.com, www.freedomrifle.com. Get your Freedom Rifle now. Okay, guys, guess where I am? I'm in my kitchen today. Guess what? Yes, we are broadcasting from the kitchen. And you're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca-Zanna. And I am preparing one espresso. Here we go. Can you hear some noise? And I am not by myself. Today I am with a friend. Came all the way from Phoenix. And guess what? His name is Paul Wittenberger. And you know Paul, I already had him on my show a few times. And he's a movie producer, documentary producer, director. What in the World They're Spraying. I'm sure you heard about that documentary. Honestly, it's one of my favorite about weather modification chemtrails. And today he came here to support not me, but what I'm trying to do is not about me. It's about the radio show and the activism we're trying to do. Not only is helping me out to distribute the coffee, the Zanna Coffee,
But today he wanted to try out the Don't Tread on Us rifle. So we went to the range, and we had a great time. And guess what? He also bought a beautiful Don't Tread on Us rifle for himself. And we're going to talk right now together. Meanwhile, I'm cranking my little espresso too. This is like a different type of radio show. We don't just shoot from the studio, but in real life. Here we go. That's the machine, my little espresso machine. Here we go. And Paul, right now it's here. We're in the kitchen. How you doing, Paul?
Very good, Luca. Thanks for having me on your show.
Oh, thank you for coming here from Phoenix, and thank you for everything you do. So first of all, how was your day? Did you enjoy the day?
Oh, it was really nice. I'm glad I came all the way here to pick up that rifle. And that when we went out there shooting today, it was really great to shoot that new rifle.
Yeah, I'm very excited because I tell you, I want to thank you because you've been in Arizona already for a while. I know that you have different other weapons, but that was, correct me if I'm wrong, I want to just be sure I got it down right, your first rifle, correct?
Yep, that's my first rifle.
So this is, for me, it's an honor because I tell you could have chosen many rifles out there. I'm just, I'm not even a gun manufacturer. I just had an idea. I wanted to put out an affordable quality rifle for every American. But after all, regardless the incredible price, just $499, what do you think about the quality?
Honestly, I was blown away by the quality, and not only is it affordable, but it shoots. It doesn't have a lot of kick. It's a great aim. It's a good rifle, and I'm really glad that I got one.
And I tell you something, not because I put it together. I'm still very much excited. And every time I shoot, I find the excitement, especially when I verify the accuracy of the rifle. We get the rifle we saw was completely not zero. We didn't have much time. We just messed around for 10 minutes, and we got a group who was less than 1 square inch, 25 yards with iron sight. So that was pretty neat. It wasn't a fake. You were a witness, and I had other friends.
Yep, I'm here to prove that it's true.
And I'm not even incredible. I'm just above the average. Qualifies a rifle, but still I don't shoot every day like I wish. So everybody can do that. Now, first of all, what's going on in your business life, your activist life, or any project you're working on? I know you're working on a new documentary out there. What is?
Yeah, well, like a lot of people know, is I just got done releasing a new documentary called Fluoride Poison on Tap, and that movie really just exposes the danger of fluoride in the water. And so my new project I'm working on right now that I'm in production on is Babylon, USA. So that'll be coming out here probably in August.
And give us the short story. First of all, where did you get this name from? Maybe from the Bible. I know there was a part of the Bible. I'm not a super expert. I heard it was a Babylon, the new Babylon. What is exactly is the topic? What do you talk about?
Well, the film is basically a film about Bible prophecy, but it also discusses, the New World Order and how that basically the United States is basically a Roman Empire or a Babylonian Empire. It's kind of turned into that, and so.
Okay. Any special guest? I know that you went traveling around the States. Who did you get?
We've interviewed about 14 different people, a handful of historians from around the country, different pastors and experts, and honestly, it's going to be a great film. I'm really proud of it so far, and I think it's going to be the best film I've ever produced.
Wow, very good, very good. I'm always excited because I tell you, it's like it's a journey. It's a not just for you that you produce this, but also for us, for me as a viewer. You always learn something new. And I tell you, what I like most of the DVD format, I can share to other people because the goal is not just for us to learn. We want to learn and share. That's the only way we can reach critical mass and wake up the rest of the humanity and trying to work together. Because after all, what do you think really it's the final end game for this, not just the prophecy that we know technically read in the Bible, but what you really think also in the political arena and also in our real life arena? What exactly are we facing as humanity? What is the final end game?
Well, I think, honestly, I believe what the Bible says in the final end game is world government. And I think that, it's in the embryonic stages right now, but we can all see it being implemented. And I believe it will be implemented. And maybe not in our lifetime if we push back, but I think, eventually it will be because the Bible does prophesy that.
And I want to say something to the Christians that sometimes they surrender just because they say it's in the Scripture. Maybe I'm not a perfect Christian, but I look at this. I believe, even not being an expert, Christ even we know that we have to endure this suffering and pain, it's our duty as people and Christians, if you're a Christian, to also always expose evil, regardless the odds of what's happening in this dimension, regardless that we know that there is a moment that this world government will happen, and many of us maybe we may not even be making it through. I think it's still our duty to expose it and fight it, and try never to surrender to evil. Don't you think that's the attitude? Or maybe we should just surrender because after all it's in the scripture, we gotta just let it go. What do you think?
No, I mean, I think we do need to fight back because honestly, every generation thinks that they're going to be the last generation, or they're going to be living in the end times. Like my dad used to say, he thought, the end times would happen in his lifetime, and so did his father, So we need to keep fighting back because we don't know when the end's going to be or, when these things will come to pass. So we need to fight back because, that's what we should be doing.
And also I think it's a test, regardless, this is just a limited time we're going to be here on this planet, okay? It's not like we are forever. Sometimes I look at this like almost like a test. And one day we're going to be asked, what did you do when you have a chance to stand for good? When did you, even people say, I didn't do anything, and that's not good enough. I think that people, regardless, silent is consent. So they need to start to speak up now, because I believe regardless what's going to happen in the next 50, 60, 80 years of this, our physical life, one day we'll be judged for eternity if we didn't do the right thing, I guess, when we had a chance, like now. So this is just...
the Bible says life is but a vapor. It appeareth for a little time and then vanisheth away. And it's so true because we only are on this earth for a short period of time, and what are we going to do? Waste it watching television, or are we going to actually do something that matters?
Just sometimes people, I hate when they say, hey, nothing I can do. After all, that's the plan that things going to go. It's almost the easy way out, the lazy way out, or the coward way out. Sorry, I don't want to pass judgment, but I really believe that when people say, I don't want anything because it's already been written and I just want to sit here, I'll be saved. I don't like that. I think we got to still fight always to expose evil and fight evil. Now, thinking about other projects, you got so many great ideas. I like because you got a good spirit of a free market, differently when we work for, I don't want to use always the government as an example, but it's true. The government doesn't use freedom. He always coerces you to do things. Here, you do put a product out, like you work very hard, you put one of your documentaries out, and after all, you don't force anybody to buy it. They buy it because they like it or they find good information. And then, you're able to be successful and do other documentaries. So it's a great spirit also of exactly what America, I think, is supposed to be or should be, the free market idea. Now, you do more than just documentaries. You also have a beautiful website that it's a shopping experience. You can buy incredible different things. I saw that from Roman coins, latest one, I really like it a lot. I need to probably buy one at least. And then you have incredible rare pages from the Bible. Tell us a little bit about your main website where people can go and find what you produce or what you sell.
Well, the name of my store is framingtheworld.com, and basically, I sell stuff that I believe in. So I obviously sell my movies because I believe in those and I make them, but I also sell other products like this new coffee that you came out with, Zanna Coffee, because it's great coffee. Honestly, it's like one of the best coffees that I've ever tasted. And when you said, hey, Paul, I got this new coffee that I'm selling, I was a little skeptical. But once I tried it, and I'm kind of a coffee snob because I love coffee. I drink it every day. And this is just amazing coffee. My favorite is the straight shot organic espresso, but the 1776 is just right below it. They're both great coffees. And honestly, I highly recommend both.
And I would like to invite people, that's the idea. We help each other. We support each other. I want to have people like you that you helping me out. I want my customers, more important, my listeners, to go to your website so they can support not just my coffee, but also they support your activism. They can support you making movies, taking care also of your family. Say again one more time the website, and also you have any special deal on this coffee going on?
Yeah, so the website is framingtheworld.com, and right now we do have a special where if you buy each of the bags, it's I forget, but you get it for a cheaper price than just buying it one. The more you buy, obviously, the cheaper it gets, because Yeah.
Yeah, and also we're working on a new, we try to improve, try to get bigger quantities so I can save on shipping and pass the saving on you also. So it's going to be incredible new price coming probably in the next 2 weeks, so check him out. It's going to be incredible price. Maybe you can buy a bag of coffee and buy also one of the new or the latest DVDs that he has out there. Now, listen to me. I want to say thank you very much for all you do. Thank you for coming up to here today. And I want to give you the floor. Anything you want to say about anybody or about anything you're doing, I give you 2 minutes.
Well, I just want to thank you, Luca, for having me on, and just really, honestly, people just need to wake up to what's going on in the world today and just realize that they need to do something. They need to share what they know with others. They need to stand up for what's right, because electing the next idiot to president is not going to fix things. They need to start at the local level and try to make a difference, whether it's through politics or through just through their beliefs and religion. But I encourage everyone to go to framingtheworld.com and check out what we're doing. I always have new products up on the store, and check out the new Freedom Rifle, which I think is, when I shot today, I was really blown away by it. So go to freedomrifle.com and you can check that out, and hopefully I'll be selling on my framingtheworld.com.
Hey, yes. You. Yes, I'm talking to you. You deserve a break. Enjoy a moment of indulgence. It's time for Zanna Coffee. Guilt-free pleasure. Zanna Coffee is the organic coffee to amplify your senses and enhance love for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Only the best organic and GMO-free coffee beans from around the world that I selected. Zanna Coffee brings you happiness in every cup. Fair trade certified, sustainable organic coffee. That means we do not use slaves. Free Zanna songs with every coffee bag. Find Zanna Coffee at www.zannacoffee.com. www.zannacoffee.com. Get your coffee bag now. Don't be cheap. Life is too short and you deserve the best. Zanna Coffee. It is that time again. 1776, the organic coffee to brew a revolution. Brought to you by Zanna Coffee. 1776 is the best organic and GMO-free coffee beans blend from around the world to amplify your senses and enhance love for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Zanna Coffee brings you happiness in every cup. Fair trade certified, sustainable organic coffee. Free Zanna songs with every coffee bag. Get 1776 at www.zannacoffee.com. www.zannacoffee.com. Don't be cheap. Life is too short. 1776. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with luca-zanna on United States.fm. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with luca-zanna, and this is the second hour, the hour about guns. Today is going to be an exciting show more than ever, and I tell you why. Not only are we going to talk about guns and exciting things when it comes down to the Second Amendment, especially comparing with Europe and Italy with America, and also comparing between California and the state of Arizona. Also, it's going to be an interesting person. As you know, I wasn't born here, not because you need to remember, you just listen to my accent, but it's fun, it's beautiful when I see other people like me, also from the same generation, I'm almost 48, to find out that we had the same path, almost the same journey, the same dreams, the same challenges, and we are here. And we found each other. Honestly, found me, and I'm very thankful for that. This is going to be my guest. He's a former Italian guy that he was born in America, but we will ask more from Italian parents. And the exciting thing is that he's here in America now, following his dreams with his family. and is a man who also understands the Second Amendment and has incredible, very interesting, successful business. I really like the idea also what he does for a living. And also he is able to share with us exactly the reality for a citizen, for a law-abiding person in Italy, how difficult it is to own or even carry, don't forget about that, a fire. Okay. His name is Fil Olivieri, and he's here with me right now. Phil, are you there?
I'm right here, Luca, and hello, everyone. I'm so excited to be here with everyone today. But, Luca, I need to thank you about 1,000 million times for this ominous introduction. It was just huge.
No.
And I loved every second of it, and I'm not kidding. And it's just that by listening to you saying certain things, I mean, we know, you and I, we know that we connected probably the first instant that we got in touch.
Yeah,
even before that, I connected with you just by reading about you when I suggested to do that. So I decided to email you. But listening to you speak about me or just about certain things that may connect us on several levels, it was just huge. So thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, Phil. I appreciate it because I tell you, for me now, the Italy that it's left, it's the best of Italy. It's the Italy of people like you, people, anyway, of course, my memories, my family and the tradition that, I still have with me. I like to eat my pasta and cook my stuff. I got my coffee. But, at the end of the day, I try to discern the Italy that I left. Of course, if I left it like because we had disappointments, because we could not fulfill our human potential in that country. But at the same time, there is a part of Italy, people like you, that I can share the same also mindset, even if I don't know you, but I know that we have a vision of life and dreams and aspiration that keep us almost separate from a part of Italy that we left. So that's why I consider you a brother. Even from different mothers, of course, and we are here in the new country, and we are trying to do our best to I don't know, as human beings, to fulfill also our spirituality, because it's not just about money. It is not just about how much money you make. It's not that. Honestly, in Italy, I didn't care about that. My family had money. For me, it was about fulfilling my potential as a human being, and more important, to try. Freedom is a big word. There is not an absolute freedom. But for sure, in Italy, I felt like somebody cut my wings, and I could not even be able to do the basic things. And among those now, since we're talking about the Second Amendment, I never felt right the fact that I always had to beg for a permit every time I want to defend myself. Because we don't have in Italy, they don't have in Italy anymore, not there anymore, the Second Amendment, but we have it here. So, first of all, before we go into the Second Amendment, you have very interesting story. I really believe that, the fact also the way how you came to America, how your parents put you into this world. Give us a little bit your short background from your family and how you are related to this country, America.
Right away, and I'll try to be as short as possible because we don't want our listeners to fall asleep while listening to my story. So I was proudly born in the United States of America in 1968. I was born in Dallas, Texas, actually, and I often go back to the fact that I was born in Texas, and I will do that again during our friendly chat today. I was born to an Italian couple of guys that were over here in the U.S. for work, basically, because my father was an Italian Navy officer that had won several things over back there in mother country in Italy. And so he had been apprised with a mission to live a couple of years in the United States, going across a certain number of states, working jointly with American military forces in a couple of fields, specializing himself and also sharing information, of course, between the two countries at the time. So I was most definitely conceived in the north, where it's cold, and I was delivered in the south, in Texas.
Very good. This is interesting. And then what happened? You came back to Italy after that?
Right away, I'm told, sorry, I did interrupt you.
No problem. Go ahead.
Thank you. So yeah, I left. I just had the time for my parents to grab my American passport. As we know, in the United States of America, and there's not many countries in the world that are like that. And Italy, for example, is unlike it. So by birth, there's such thing called jus soli, which is the right of citizenship to birth. And so my parents were fortunate enough to be able to give me an American passport upon birth, which was the first passport in my life I received, but not the only one.
Wow.
And so I got the American passport. I was 15 days old, and they had to go right back straight to Italy because my father had been called back to duty in the Navy, of course, back to Italy. So they left.
Very good. Interesting.
Right there and then.
So that would happen. You grew up in Italy. You got your journey as an Italian man. And let's go now, before we go to the Second Amendment. You have right now your actual business. It is into the music business, or at least is into the effects music business. Give us a short story, a little bit. First of all, what do you do now, and how did you achieve? Because I think it's a very interesting story. This is not just about, by the way, the show is not just about guns, but also it's about freedom. And freedom means also how the individual can achieve his goals, his dreams, in a place where you can still have access to resources and less bureaucracy, and you're able to fulfill your dreams. That's the bottom line. So that's pretty much fulfilled my idea of what we're talking here. So go ahead. What do you do exactly now as business? First of all, let's talk about that.
I'll say it right away, but before I need to stress again that what you say sometimes might sound like, blah, blah, cliche. The United States of America, that dream, right. The American dream, 1950s, it was born and it stayed there, and the land of opportunity that we at least heard, and I did very much in my lifetime, but it is true, all of it, and this is why what you say and the way you say it resonates with me immensely, which is why I'm even more grateful to be in touch with you. I say it again. So I'm in a professional of the music industry today. My degree is actually information technology, and I worked in Italy in a couple of companies just doing this, information technology, which is basically computing and software. But as an American citizen that had been dreaming about exactly that, freedom, and also a certain type of music that used to celebrate such freedom, and if you will, rebellion as well, at least of a certain generation or of a certain type of human beings. And that type of music used to be rock and roll.
Yes.
I grew up with the desire of rock and roll, of blues, and loving that American, not only American, there's also British music, which is great, and not even strictly British, probably Anglo-Saxon in general terms. It's in the culture. It's the rock and roll and blues. It's definitely in the culture of the Anglo-Saxon community. So I grew up with that in my mind, and as a hobby, I kept on having that in my heart, even as a guitar player, since a very early age. So with that dream in my mind, I bumped into, as a young kid, into a few bands that I really loved with all my heart. And there's all the classics of the classic rock music that we still listen to this day in all our radio stations across mainly this country, in the United States of America. So one of such bands was an Australian band called AC/DC. I'm sure that at least a few of our listeners today.
It is still one of my favorite bands, believe it or not. It's amazing. Go ahead.
I do believe you. I do believe you, and I believe you for all the right reasons, because especially AC/DC of a few decades ago were just an amazing band, and their talent and ability, and also their luck probably in meeting the right people back then, still is huge today. So I grew up basically listening to that kind of music, but specifically AC/DC had caught my attention with a couple albums of 1979, 1980. And we'll name them Highway to Hell and Back in Black.
Yeah, I remember those.
Specifically, right. It was the sound of the guitars that caught me, and also the drumming, the rhythm. I saw it as a very joyful, lighthearted way to just rock out in the free world. That was truly it's still today, because I still listen to those two albums almost on a daily basis. And we'll say it, I do work partly with AC/DC now. So there you have it. We can already say that.
That's pretty nice. I tell you, man. For us, like we were kids, we had the same age, 1979 or whatever, exactly. We were little kids, and now you have a chance to say you are working. At least you're providing also a service and a product to one of our heroes. In this case, I think it's Angus Young, correct?
It is correct. You're totally correct in everything you're saying. Yeah.
That's beautiful. I tell you, that's for me right there would be a dream of a lifetime. Like, I don't know. It's like we were in Italy. And, on top, when you're in Italy, it seems like such a world apart. The language is different. And the distance, it's already difficult for an American kid or for an Australian kid to even think that you can connect to one of these stars. And after a while, that's what I call rock stars. But for an Italian kid, at least thinking about myself, like, wow, that one day you can collaborate or provide a product and work with some of these guys, that's like amazing. I mean, I'm very happy for you, seriously.
Thank you so much, brother. Grazie. Thank you immensely. And yes, I've been named a couple of times. A few things have been said about me, and I still have to pinch myself every time I see my name mentioned. Actually, did it really happen? Is it really happening to me again? Because and the thing where the guy who was able to inspire his inspiration, and that was, of course, it's ominous, of course, as a statement. And the other one, he did it because he didn't know it was impossible. And that's actually a citation, a quote from, I believe, a great Anglo-Saxon writer. I'm not sure the phrase is entirely correct and accurate 100%, but that's, I am told, is the meaning of that. So he was able to do it because he did not know it was impossible. So, yeah, that's exactly what happened. In short, I was obsessed with the sound of the guitar of those albums as a kid already. So growing up, I always questioned myself, how do I get that sound? And after a few years working and so being able to sustain myself and having some money to spend on good gear and equipment, I started amassing vintage gear. Vintage, that means, old guitars and amplifiers. Doing research at the same time in order to make sure that that gear was exactly what had been used by Angus Young of AC/DC in those very seminal years, in the late 70s and the early 80s. Well, researching after researching and research after research, I bumped into an obscure interview of 1984, where Angus Young himself replied to a question saying, "So Angus, what effects do you use?" And he said, "Well, I just use a Schaefer regular system." And that was not an effect. That was, in fact, a wireless system. So I thought, why is he replying to a question? He's answering a question referring to a wireless device when he's being asked of guitar effects. So that, of course, clicked it, and that was the start of everything. That was 4 years ago.
Wow.
And I was able to locate one of such devices, which is incredibly super rare, and it was uber expensive at the time, the equivalent of $30,000 today.
Wow.
So just very few of those were made back then.
Wow.
And they were all sold to the rock stars of the era, who most of them used it for very many years because of the high quality of the product itself. And yes, although the product, that wireless device was not supposed to change the sound of the instruments passing through it, instead it would change dramatically the sound of such instruments, specifically the guitar. So it was used, that specific wireless device, on Back in Black and Highway to Hell, and countless other records, including The Wall by David Gilmour. So now I was able to actually investigate even further by getting in touch with the original inventor of the device, Kent Schaefer, who is a friend, I can say nowadays, after all these years working together.
Question,
we decided back then.
I have a question, Ollie, before we go ahead. I'm on your website right now,
SoloDallas.com, and there is a photo, correct me if I'm wrong, because it looks pretty young here. It looks like Angus Young, hugged by another guy smoking a cigarette. Who is that guy? I mean, first of all, is it the Angus Young, number one on the left, and who is the other guy?
Well, thank you so much for this question. And the guy on the right is Ken Schaefer.
Okay.
And that is the that's the 24th of August, 1978.
Wow.
The night where Angus Young received, because they purchased it, his Schaefer Vega diversity system unit by Ken Schaefer. So the two guys became instantly friends.
Wow.
So we have a New Yorker, Ken Schaefer. Today he is approximately 68 years old. So it's an older guy, but at the time I think it was roughly 27 maybe years old.
Yeah.
And they became instantly friends. And of course they frequented each other for a few years after that, also because Angus and the band AC/DC, they kept in touch just for business reasons, because Ken Schaefer would also maintain technologically that device for 8 long years, where they would keep on recording in the studio and touring, traveling, of course, as AC/DC across the world, promoting, doing their thing. And Angus was always using the Schaefer Vega diversity. So approximately from 1978 up to 1985. And this I learned from Angus himself when I got to meet him. So, yeah, that was that magic night, and I got that picture, of course, generously, kindly from Ken in person.
Wow. Pretty amazing.
And that was the start.
I had no idea. I tell you, it's very true. You never stop learning. I'm not really a guitar player. I play a little bit everything, and normally in the studio I don't play anything. I just got musicians playing for me. But I tell you, I always was fascinated by the different type of sounds from especially AC/DC, because the simplicity and the beauty is exactly there, Yeah. But I had no idea that there was such a piece of equipment behind, I thought it was just, okay, it must be just the guitar Gibson, and then you have these amps, and then the guy, instead there is the magic also about this unique piece of, and also not really exactly, I mean, how much cost, or at least used to cost for the average rocker, like for example Angus Young, one of these system. How much was the price, the retail price?
Yes, it was, as I said earlier, it was around with an indexed price today's. Nowadays, it could range from I learned $20,000 to $30,000, depending on how we indexed it. But the price back then in 1976, which is exactly the year where it started to be commercialized, it was $5,000.
And that's
$5,000 of American dollars back then.
That's not exactly the typical, a Boss box for $99 that the average kid can afford. I mean, that's probably for Angus is okay. It's a spare change, but man, it's still a kind of interesting high-end price,
Yes, not really, actually. Not even for AC/DC. Back in 78, when they purchased it, they were not at all rich yet.
Oh, yeah,
and
you're
I know
right.
this for a fact. So they were starting to make some money, but not much at all. And in fact, they needed to tour desperately all the time.
Yeah.
We can definitely say they were still poor, actually, at the time. So I'm sure they made a huge effort in order to buy that unit. And in fact, they only bought one. One unit, and just for Angus, not for the brother, because they couldn't afford it. And at the time, John-Plough, they most of the pedals that we can see today on the market, they didn't exist. They had a bunch, probably 2-3 pedals. A wah-wah, for example, that was probably developed in the 60s. Maybe it had a fuzz, which is one of those guitar distortion, very trivial, very primordial, if I can say that, even in the sound. Nothing sophisticated like what you could do with a Schaefer Vega diversity system.
Oh, it's amazing, I tell you. Right now, and now exactly what you do. So we go back to your business. You have a replica. You created a replica of this, right?
Yes, we did. So I was able to locate a couple of units. And most of the units are still somewhere in storage with the original owners, and I know this for sure because I know speaking with Angus, I know that he has one in storage, and his wife told me personally, I know exactly where it is. And Frank Marino, for example, who is another pretty famous player, is a Canadian, if I'm not mistaken. He also told me personally that he still has his in storage and uses it every now and then just because of the sound. So I couldn't find any, and I searched for a year approximately after my discovery. So eventually I got in touch with the original inventor, and I was in Italy at the time, but I wrote a number of emails to Mr. Schaefer, and I finally broke through because he didn't respond to me immediately, but he went to my blog because I was starting to blog my research with, and I had a pretty popular blog at the time because it was just an AC/DC blog where I was researching the sounds of the classic rock and the way that they used to make music back then, and so many concepts relating to how the sound was made and recorded and how people used to play back then certain instruments. And so, enamored with all this, I started a blog, and I sent Mr. Schaefer several links to my blog, as well as my love letter to him, explaining why I really admired him so very much. So, after a while, he answered me, and he said, well, I have a couple of units for you. So I bought those, and I reversed engineered them in order to make a product that would just be a guitar effect, because I really wanted the world to be able to enjoy the same sound that we hear on the guitars of Highway to Hell, Back in Black, For Those About to Rock, and so on and so forth, and many other, actually, albums, because not only rock and roll guitar players used to use the Schaefer Vega, also funk bands such as Earth, Wind, and Fire had the Schaefer Vega, but also Chic, for example, had. So, funk music.
Yes,
and it was
like
great
those.
for that as well. So I thought this is a device that really can change the sound of the guitar for the better, whatever musical genre you are attached to. And so I said, it's really worth to reverse engineer this. And I did it, and so we started selling the first units, the first few hundred units, directly to the members of my blog.
Wow.
And after that, I think Angus Young came to know that we were doing this replica. I called it, by signing a contract with Ken Schaefer himself, we called it the Schaefer replica, because in fact I wanted to clone and replicate that sound.
Yeah.
So Angus Young of AC/DC heard about this, and he called us. He summoned us to the studio while AC/DC were recording the latest and last AC/DC album. That was a couple of years ago, if my memory serves me right. And so it was Rock or Bust. That was the final name of the album. And so I got to meet my hero, and I was terribly afraid of that moment. and so we flew to Canada, Ken Schaefer and myself, and I've never been that nervous as I was walking the stairs up to recording room number 1 in Bryan Adams' recording studio in Vancouver, which is where AC/DC usually record their albums. The past 5 albums, I think, have been recorded in Bryan Adams' recording studio in Vancouver. And it was just amazing. Instead, it was just, we were supposed to be there for 5 minutes and just drop off our donation, our gift to Angus Young.
Yeah.
But instead, we remained. We stayed there for 2.5 hours, and I got to meet my hero and speak with him, drink coffee with him, hug him, and play his guitars as well. He let me play.
Oh my gosh!
His 2 favorite. You can't understand, John-Plough. I still think about this, and here, let me pinch myself again.
I know. Listen, it's amazing. I'm telling you, I'm almost crying here just thinking about it. This is so great.
I cried.
So I imagine this is good. Listen. And so you gave him one of the replica, right? The Schaefer replica tower version. What did he get?
exceptionally correct. Once again, my friend, thank you. Yes, I gave him a serial number 001,
wow.
a tower-ish looking, so it looks like a little tower. It's a black with black panels, and I molded it. We molded that looks. And now it looks even more accurate, even closer to the original. I wanted the look as much as possible of the original device.
Yeah.
Actually, of the receiver, because a wireless device is made of a transmitter and of a receiver. So I wanted to capture the looks of the receiver as much as possible.
And he
so we
used
made this.
He used it in his album.
Yes, he recorded with it across the entire Rocker Bus, and he loved it so much. I mean, people said, "Oh, you gave him back his sound, Phil." Oh, and I'm not sure. I mean, Angus Young is his sound, and as you were saying before, you were speaking about bone tone, whether you knew it or not, John. You were speaking about that. So each one of us has their unique sound, which is a byproduct of our timing, our touch, the way we approach the instrument, So it's very hard to be Angus Young, whatever you do, even owning the same gear. But we can approximate ourselves as much as possible to those guys by getting the right gear and the right equipment. And that's what I wanted. So, yeah.
So now
he started using it.
Bring us back to America, okay? Now, this is exactly what I'm talking about. The idea that you can dream and you can work hard, and sometimes can happen. But I tell you, sometimes also you need the right fertile ground to make it happen. Because I remember in Italy, just to have a permit to have a garage was a nightmare. Don't even want to go there. Don't want to waste the whole hour. But the point now, it brings you back here. You are in America. Where exactly do you operate? You have a shop? You have a business? Where exactly?
I am here. We're here in Southern California as my wife kicked my lower part of the back when in Italy, and she said, "Okay, dude, we are having success with the product. You were born in the States. You have an American passport." And she's from Tuscany, gorgeous Tuscany, and we have 2 small children. And so she said, "Why don't we just kick our life and really try for the better? Because you can work from any part in the world, Phil," she said. "So why don't we go to the U.S.?"
Yeah.
And she had fallen in love during our trips with Southern California, with San Diego. So we established ourselves here, and it is still where I'm speaking to you from and where I do operate our little company, SoloDallas LLC.
Very good. And I'll tell you something. My first landing spot was in California, exactly when I was fresh out of the boat, as they said. Even, of course, I didn't come by boat. I came by plane. I was exactly in Studio City. And then, of course, comparing to Italy, I was feeling like every day I was like a drunk of this desire of doing things, and the potential is beautiful, just dreaming and thinking and making it happen. Then you start to realize that 50 states, even, of course, they are becoming more and more the same because there is a central government trying to make all the same, but there are still different reality, different approach, and also politics. And, for me, politics is not an abstract concept. Politics means how you can decide how to run your life and how much government you're going to have between you and your freedom. And that's why I realized that California, unfortunately, as much as it was a great opportunity and feeling comparing it to Italy, then when I started to see around, like, for example, Arizona, and comparing to taxes and regulations and all the crap they do, and, of course, now we go also to the Second Amendment, I say, you know what? Was great, California, but I couldn't run fast enough to cross the bridge, the Colorado River, and came to Arizona. But that's another story. Right now, I want to ask you something. Let's talk about the Second Amendment a little bit. We talk about, for me, this was very important. It was about the idea of freedom, the idea of dream, and the idea also as like people like yourself and myself. We came from another place. We came here with the opportunity to also to risk and to try and to fulfill our potential. That's, for me, the most beautiful thing. This is the real, let's say, manure of all this. It's called freedom. You could not do things that you want to do if you have regulations, if you have oppression, if you have overtaxation. That's why I think freedom is the engine that is going to move the world. Freedom and love. Now let's talk about love for our rights. and love also for the right to self-defense. You were in Italy one of the few people that I know, really, because it's very hard. One person was my uncle that was a general in the army, but it was a kind of a special class. When you're a general or a police, you have that type of privilege. But for regular citizens, very difficult. You were one of the few people that I know, civilians, were allowed to have at least a collection of weapons. Tell us a little bit, first of all, what type of reality do you have in Italy compared to America that they don't have in Italy a Second Amendment? Go ahead.
I will tell you with love, in fact, and I will be talking about the subject extensively, and you will stop me when it's too much, because I studied the matter thoroughly. And the reason why I had to study it's because I've been a gun enthusiast for my entire life. Since a child, I remember drawing guns and military battles for all the good reasons in the world. To me, we were the good people, the heroes, the guys with the values. And so the guys that wanted to defend the world and themselves from the bad. So I grew up with that mentality, and I always associated that mentality to America. So was it because I was born in Texas that the planets lined up in a certain way that day? I don't know. But I grew up with the gun, not gun nut. I know that this expression exists here in the U.S.
Yeah.
And it might scare away some people. I'm not a gun nut in a certain sense that might be perceived here. But I am definitely a firearm enthusiast. And when I say firearm, I mean I go back to black powder muskets. And I do shoot black powder muskets as well as other contemporary firearms.
Wow.
That we generally speak and call the AR-15s. Now, I want our friends to know that are listening to us that in Italy, despite the fact that Italy is one of the oldest producers of firearms, in fact, many people know that firearm factory Beretta, as the Italians would pronounce it,
yes,
was founded 500 years ago, and it's probably the oldest firearms factory existing in the world. So, and it's kind of surprising to find out that the Italians are not at all firearm enthusiasts, but a very small minority. So,
if I can say something, Phil, it is not just the fact that there are not enough firearms enthusiasts. The problem is that there is not a right there is no Bill of Rights. In this case, there is not a Second Amendment right, and this is nothing new, because if you look at history, since the time of the Romans, there were the Romans, then there were the slaves. And beside, even the soldiers in the city, they were not allowed to have a weapon. And then you go to the time of the popes and kings. Yes, the kings and the enforcers, soldiers, they were having weapons. But the serfs, the regular people, they were not allowed to have weapons. It was never a right. They were given weapons only when they had to fight for the kings or lords. So it's in the culture of...
to die for them.
Yeah, exactly.
Precisely.
So since the beginning of times, if we go back to the Romans all the way to the different times of the lords and kings, and then, of course, then we became what's supposed to be a republic, but we know it is not really a republic. It is just another form of control way that there is an elite class, in this case bankers and politicians. They have every guns they want, because, all these escorts that they have, the escorte, that they have, the parliamentary, people working for but citizens,
Parliament.
Yes. They're never allowed to have a right to defend themselves. That's unfortunate. No. That's why I don't think there is the culture. Because I think every human being would appreciate the fact to, even for sport and recreation, they would enjoy that. But it becomes so difficult, all these loops and permits and fees and, kissing butts around. That's why I don't think there is enough gun enthusiasts like that. But I tell you, there are some great shooters. I'm in touch right now with the Instructor Zero. You ever heard about him? Instructor Zero.
Yes, of course. I know Instructor Zero, of course.
He should be on my show pretty soon. I mean, that guy, at the beginning...
Oh, wow.
I had no idea was from Italy. I say, he's such unbelievable to find.
I knew, yeah.
He got such a great... Because, we have here 200 million people, 300 million people, and everybody has somehow, depends if, of course, if you live in California, New York, or states like that, the opportunity to train, buy every gun you want, all the ammunition you want. So you got a great pool. In Italy, to get somebody like Instructor Zero, where there is no really the ground to even train and to own a gun, that's amazing. You know, I think we would have a great shooters in Italy if we had more opportunity to have less, repression by the government. But please continue. I wanted just to interrupt. Keep going what you were saying, please.
Oh, you did not interrupt. Matter of fact, you contributed and you added elements to the discussion, and it's very important. You did two things by telling what you did. You went back to the history, which is fundamental for us, and we have to do it, and the Italians don't do it nearly enough. They get lost in the process, and they are very biased with the way they go back to analyzing history, their history, which is extremely troubled, and it's a history of a suffering country that was never a whole country until 1861. So it's a very young country. And the Italians make the mistake of thinking that Italy, such an old country. No, Italy is a very old land that was just a geographical aggregate of regions that had a very diverse history, one from the other. And many of those regions were just subjugated over the centuries. And the mentality that we are still reflecting, that you are talking about today, it's still that subjugated mentality that you are referring to, and it's a byproduct of that particular Italian history. And the Italians should definitely do an exercise or two more to go back to the right way of reading certain history that regard themselves particularly. So I'm very well aware of this, which is why I consider it a blessing to be in touch with you.
So Phil, tell us exactly, for an Italian man like you are, you were there at the time, and you had that passion. You wanted to have guns, at least as a collector. Of course, it's not easy to have a concealed permit. You will tell us that. What exactly, first of all, how did you even start the process? First of all, you need to find a place where you can buy the guns you want. And I heard you had a great collection. Tell us exactly what type of collections did you have, and then exactly what type of loops and type of permits did you have? And more important, did you have a chance also to have a gun with a permit to carry for self-defense for your life and your family?
Well, I had a 70 pieces firearms collection.
Wow.
And because I was very, very into mostly U.S. firearms history. In fact, I started with black powder, and I started with the muskets, because the muskets they were something I could actually purchase without a license in Italy. You still have to provide identification papers and all that to the shop, but you can actually buy such smoothbore firearm, these muskets, but you can't buy the powder, the black powder, if you don't have.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
Okay, so you start with the muskets. Then what did you do after the muskets? What did you evolve? I mean, what did you get?
Well, the Italians say, they have this thing saying, "La fame vien mangiando."
Yes.
So the more you eat, the hungrier you get. And so I discovered that, really. And I was around 40 years of age. I'm just like you. I'm 48 now. And only at the time I found the courage to start my path towards something that I had wanted my whole life. So get the guns. Go get your guns, Phil. So I started the process. It took me 6 months, in short, to get the license, and I had to go through 2 medical examinations.
Wow.
In order to ensure that I wasn't crazy, or I didn't have some strange behavioral defects or issues, provided that those 2 medical examinations really proved that, and I don't think they did, because you just sit in front of a doctor. Hey, hello, doctor, how are you today? Good, how are you? Great. So tell me about yourself. What's your name? Good, all right, that's okay. Goodbye, thanks. So that was about it,
wow.
So Was that a thorough examination? I don't think so.
And I don't think criminals are never going to go through that examination, okay? Somebody really wants to get a gun on the black market. They can buy an AK-47 full out everywhere, even in Italy. So much that in France, somehow, allegedly, we know that they bought full automatic weapons for the terrorist attack. Continue, please.
And it's easier today than ever in Italy to get such firearms because they get them from the East Europe. And there's hundreds of thousands of those AK-47 in full auto that are ready to be purchased for €100 or less by
that's a deal.
Nuts.
That's a good
that's
price.
Really the case of calling them nuts. You want to talk about mafia?
Yeah.
Mafia is still there, and it's more alive and kicking today than anywhere else in the recent Italian past. And they're all armed. Do you think they had to go through what I had to go through, 6 months to get the license?
Yeah.
And such license, let's tell our American friends, it was not a license that would allow me to carry my guns anywhere, or my person, or just anywhere I wanted. That was a detention license. I could actually own the firearms with a very limited number of ammunition, which is numbered in 1,500 rounds for rifle, and up to strictly 200 rounds, no matter what caliber. So the sum of all the calibers you can own amounts to 200 rounds per pistols.
Wow.
So 200 and 1,500. Now, you
one second, I have to stop you 1 second. This is, I remember when I was in Italy, I was a kid. I was kind of lucky too because, as I said, my uncle was a general, at least was a retired general at the time then. And then I had another uncle was a lawyer, and somehow, I don't know, through connections was able to get licenses. But my point was that I remember there was a restriction on many ammunition. It didn't change at all since then. It was 200 rounds for the pistol. I mean, I got 200 rounds right now on this table, or one in the back of my truck, okay? Just because when I go out, I always have extra rounds. That's pretty amazing. Amazing. It still didn't change after all these years. Wow. Please continue. This is just made me freak out. Go ahead.
Thank you, brother. No, it's exactly as it used to be, and it shouldn't shock us that many firearms laws are still extremely old. They actually date back to the 40s.
Yeah.
So let me say this again. Some firearm laws in Italy, they date back to the 1940s, a time of war when we know what happened back then. But anyway, that's how it is. And I could own up to 3 pistols and unlimited number of hunting rifles. Now, such hunting rifles actually, the category actually contains AR-15s as well. So that was a good thing. I could own, an unlimited number if I wanted to of AR-15s and.
What type of brand did you have? What type of brand did you have in Italy? You have access. I'm just curious.
Yeah. I was trying to tell you before. I'm a fan of, if people haven't figured it out by now, of America and U.S. military firearms and history. So Colt was my thing relating to AR-15s. I had a number of Colts that are very, very expensive to get in England, by the way, but that's what I wanted.
What did you have exactly? Any specific type, like an M4 or what? M16?
Oh, I can be as specific as naming the brand of the trigger.
Go ahead.
I had a M4 Colt AR-15, but the one that is labeled M4.
Okay, the M4,
on the left side of the receiver.
Yes.
But let's be clear about it. It had the 16-inch barrel, which is federal standard here in the U.S.
Yes.
Now, this is something, since we're talking about barrel length right now in Italy, the funny thing is that in Italy, you can own a barrel as short as 12 inches. So, and it's not a federal, of course, because there's no federation in Italy, but it's funny because that's more permitting, if you will, than the federal regulation regulating, in fact, the length of the barrel length for a general rifle, 16 inches. So in Italy, I could actually have a shorter barrel, 14 7.5 inches, which is the military profile length barrel for M4s. But Colt M4 were imported with a 16, which is the more common one, even here in the U.S., of course.
And I'm not aware. I have a question for you. Magazines, we have in some states, in these states, for example, in California, New York, they are like high-capacity band. You don't have, of course, it's amazing. They call it high-capacity. I say full-capacity magazine, but let's say if you have more than 10 rounds, you can become a felon in California. I saw in New York, now if they have 8 rounds, something amazing. What is in Italy? When you had your M4 Colt, did you have any restrictions on the magazine? Because normally the standard military magazine for the M4 is at 30 rounds. What did you have there?
Now, this is another one of those funny things that happen in Italy. And you could buy 30-round magazines, but you could not plug them in your rifle. So you could own one, but God forbid you're found with one inserted, even empty, in the rifle.
Yeah.
You cannot do that. You could own it. So I owned a number of such magazines for my collection.
Wow.
But I wasn't supposed to go around with them at the range because God forbid.
Maybe,
so
maybe in your
capacity
in a dark room in your home, in your cantina, in your underground place under your house. Maybe, I don't know, just turn the lights off, shut down the windows, and feel the emotion for a moment. Yes, I got it inside for a moment, like dirty things. Wow, I didn't know that. I'm glad I asked you because I had no idea, seriously. Wow, this is pretty amazing. So you got a question, price. How much was the price of the standard M4 Colt carabine? How much did you pay?
Let's talk about prices and more models because I still remember vividly. And it was just 2 years ago. So
go ahead, please.
Still very fresh in my memory. So let's put this black and white. But just to remember our American friends, in Italy, the current standard magazine capacity is 5 rounds. So it's less than in New York, where I think it's 7 or 8, as you mentioned, and it's 10 here in California. So let's remind our friends, even Californian friends, that they still got it somewhat good compared to how it is in certain other countries around the world, first and foremost Italy, of course. So that was one thing. That M4 I bought new in one of my most favorite gun stores in Rome, which is a very old gun store, and they quickly became good friends of mine, and I do want to say hello to them.
What is the name of the store? Say it. We have no problems. Go ahead. What is the name of the store?
Oh, thank you very much. I was actually trying to I have it here on the point of my tongue, but it doesn't come to me.
No
Frinchilucci. Oh, yes, of course. Frinchilucci.
Frinchilucci. I heard about him. Okay.
Yeah, would probably pronounce it Frinchilucci.
Okay.
In America, Frinchilucci, so it sounds more compatible, more understandable, probably.
Okay.
And they're great guys. They love America. They love the Second Amendment. They just, oh my God, they're such great guys. Which reminds us that there's good people, if I can say so, in Italy. There's a bunch of good people. They're not all anti-gun, and there's many anti-gun. Just by definition there. Oh my God, there's so many. So that M4 cost me €2,000.
Wow, euro.
New right out of my pocket.
Wow.
You understand that? €2,000.
It's a lot of money. Considering there is an import and all the taxes, and don't forget also, I forgot, when I left Italy, the IVA, the sale tax was like, I think 19% or something like that. How much is it now?
Well, thank you for asking. They, of course, updated and upgraded there.
How much?
It's now 22%.
No.
22%.
Oh my God. No, wait, let me spell it out. Guys, listeners, let me tell you this. Every time you buy anything, I think that also applies to food last time I checked. I'm not sure for sure.
It does.
It does. Also to food. You're right. Even if you buy a sandwich, okay, or a piece of bread, you pay 22% extra. Just go straight to the leeches in the government. Think about that. Now, in that rifle that you bought, that was also included probably the good 22% of a sale tax, I guess. Correct?
Yes, it was. Yes,
Wow.
yes, it was. It was.
And we don't even go to the import-export. Okay, this is amazing. Keep going with the list, please. This is kind of exciting stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, go ahead.
With joy and with love. And one of my other favorites, of course, was the M16A1. Now, this is another funny thing you want to hear about, John-Lou, you and all our friends. Now, M16A1s that are a no-no here in the United States of America, and I'm referring specifically to the lower receivers that are marked M16A1s, and they used to be full auto. Now, we know that in certain states here in the U.S., we are allowed Class 3 firearms, and specifically we can buy an M16A1 or 2. Or they are, of course, very expensive, ranging, I believe, in a $25,000 price range. Well, in Italy, you can buy an M16A1 that has been demilitarized strictly to single fire mode only. So,
I mean,
of course,
you're talking about
not
semi-automatic, or
strictly semi-automatic.
Yes.
Semi-automatic. There's no way for nobody to go fully auto.
Yeah.
There's no, just for the people in the military.
Yeah.
And carabinieri, some police forces, they can use some submachine guns. The beautiful Beretta M12S. That is a full auto 9mm submachine gun that I always loved while growing up as a child. But they are the only forces. There's no civilian whatsoever on the planet with no special powers or nothing that can ever dream of owning a full auto firearm in Italy. It was there back in the day before Second World War and probably right after Second World War, but that lasted very little time, and it was quickly converted to single only. So, but the thing is that you can own an entirely original M16A1, including the lower receiver, which is banned here in the U.S. You cannot own being converted. They need to be destroyed. The lower receiver here, military lower receivers that once were fully automatic, they need to be destroyed here in the U.S. You can, sell the upper receiver with the barrel coming from a fully automatic rifle here in the U.S. Matter of fact, I have a couple of those here. But you can't own a lower receiver that once was full auto receiver if you don't own a Class 3 license here in the U.S. In Italy, instead, as a civilian, you can go in and get that rifle. So as a collector, I was very happy, and I purchased a couple M16A1s, mint. One was really mint. I don't think it had ever been fired even. And then I had
Phil, 1 second. Talking about ammo, I mean, normally for this type of rifle, we're talking about 5.56 or 223 Remington. What is like the average price, for example, for a box of 20 rounds for a 5.56 to feed one of these AR-15 rifles in Italy? How much?
That was comparable. Yeah, the price was comparable in euros, probably. So a little. I forget how much it is here to buy a box of 5.56, which is slightly. It's got a little bit more pressure, as you know.
Yes.
5.56 compared to 223.
Yes.
And by the way, in Italy, you cannot purchase as a civilian 5.56. It's considered military ammunition, and you can't own it.
Remind me also that, because another thing is about the 9mm Parabellum, okay? That's a big word. That means, oh my God, it's just a 9mm. So in Italy, if I remember well, you cannot own a 9mm Parabellum because that would be exactly the same round that normally used by the police or military, but you can use, for example, a 9mm. You can buy a 9mm large, or at least a 9x21, I guess. Is that right? Or am I wrong?
That is absolutely. It's completely correct. And the only reason why they had to go around that joke of law is that there's the word parabellum. That means for the war. It's Latin, and it means parabellum means for war.
Yeah.
So it was banned by name. As ridiculous as it is, 9mm was banned by name in Italy because they didn't like it.
Yeah.
And you know why they didn't like it? Because they started that war. The Italians contributed contributed to starting Second World War, and so they didn't want to accept that, and so they tried to bend that thing out of their history that way. Don't get me started.
Listen,
on that.
I need to ask you something. Normally, we're almost at the end of the hour. If you want, I would like to keep you in the second hour for 10 more minutes at least to continue, because there is so much to talk about the gun part. Would you mind to say 10 more minutes at least?
My day is entirely
okay. And I want to say something before we go ahead. This is different from NPR or from the government that normally they extort money out of your pocket with a gun on your face. Here we always try to propose you products and services that you, out of free market, you will decide. Talking about rifles, I want to remind my listeners that there is right now is available starting from this Monday, tomorrow. Today's Sunday. It's going to be broadcast on Sunday. The show is recorded. The Don't Trade on Us rifle by Zanna, the most affordable AR-15 M4 carabine, made in the USA for just $499. And you get a lot of great freebies. Go to freedomrifle.com. freedomrifle.com. You can get finally your AR-15 military-grade semi-automatic in 223 Wild. You can shoot 5.56 and 223, 4 minutes of angle. I was doing headshots, 8 square inches groups in 200 yards. This is a great rifle. So we will continue now with Phil in the final hour. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom. Don't go away, and we will talk more about guns and what's really happening in Europe, in Italy, and how we have to stop this trend to disarm us. In this world where everything seems to be going sideways, when you need things set straight, Zanna Coffee Straight Shot Espresso. Start your day with a bang. The best organic and GMO-free coffee beans from around the world to amplify your senses and enhance love for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Zanna Coffee brings you happiness in every cup. Fair trade, certified, sustainable, organic coffee. That means we do not use slaves. Free Zanna songs with every coffee bag. Find Zanna Coffee at www.zannacoffee.com. www.zannacoffee.com. Don't be cheap. You deserve the best.
Have you ever met someone on an online dating site and thought, wow, this guy is perfect for me, or she is simply amazing, only to find out they were hiding a deep, dark secret? They plan to vote for Hillary. FreedomLovers.us was created for singles who want to exchange ideas and love for freedom. People who are looking for solutions to create and defend freedom in the real world, and at the same time, getting that once-in-a-lifetime chance to find their true soulmate. Whether you are interested in meeting your soulmate, making new friends, networking, or hanging out with that like-minded liberty lover, visit FreedomLovers.us. It's the first free dating site and community. So patriots, don't waste your time with other dating sites. FreedomLovers.us is the place where like-minded singles really click.
Here we go, guys. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with luca-zanna on KTOX 1340 AM and on United States.FM network. This is the final hour. Normally we talk about love, pasta, recipes, my coffee, and of course the free dating site, freedomlovers.us. Remember, it's there for you free. It was an act of love. Go to www.freedomlovers.us, and I hope you can find like-minded people. You don't need to be horny or just to get there and to find some sort of a date. Just to find a friend, a like-minded person. So try to get together. Go to freedomlovers.us. It's completely free. Now we go back. I have this great guy. I'm so glad, so grateful that he found me and we found each other on the internet now in real life. He's from Rome, or at least he used to be from Rome. Now he's from America, and his name is Phil, and it's an incredible story we are sharing. We've been talking, of course, about his passion, about his dreams, about his career, his business, and also what he's doing in America. But we've been talking during the second hour, especially about the Second Amendment, comparing reality from Italy, Europe, and here in the U.S. And we were talking exactly about his collection that he used to have when he was in Italy, and also the different loops and difficulties even to have a permit, and how many ammo you are allowed to have. So much information. So please, and the reason why I want to share this
is just to remind you, this is exactly what the globalists want to America. They want to disarm us. We have a Bill of Rights. It's called also the Second Amendment in this specific case. But that Bill of Rights, if we are not educated to understand it and to defend it, it's not going to save us, because we need to share this culture. We need to share this is a heritage. This is a right. This is not a privilege. So we are under attack, and I think it's a good way to show exactly what they want us to make us, like comparing to the rest of the world. They want the model I have completely like Europe. Nothing, almost. England would be the final model. No guns at all. So we got to inform ourselves, and that's why I'm thankful to Phil to share this experience that he had when he was in Italy. Phil, are you back?
No, of course I'm back. I'm so glad to be here and be speaking with you and to be with you all.
Perfect.
Again.
So tell us, we were talking about your different collection you had in Italy. We talked about the different permits and also limitations in ammunition. Tell us more about that, especially the part of your collection. You know, you got a lot of weapons. We don't have probably all the time, but any specific military weapon
not.
that you... Handguns. Yes. Did you have any handguns? You were allowed to have any handguns?
Oh, yes. I had loads of handguns. Let me go back quickly to the rifles. So
yes.
M16A, once we covered that. I got a couple of those ones. And then I had Heckler and Koch, or Coach, I forget how they pronounce that, but it's that German M4 style, that it's a different way, extremely expensive, that amounted to 2,600
Wow.
euro, but of course it's expensive here in the U.S.
Yes.
And I found out it was completely not worth having it, so it was one of the first ones that I sold right away. And then I had a bunch of surplus, actually, rifles from the First and Second World War. Specifically, I was, of course, once again very much into U.S. military firearms, so I had the M1 Garand. Some people pronounce it Garand, but I learned that the correct pronunciation for it's Garand. In 30-06, I had one of those in mint condition, 1943 Springfield, so very desirable, not a rebuilt rifle, nothing. It was just gorgeous, and I had to give it away, of course, upon coming here. Because another funny thing is that you cannot re-import
Wow.
American firearms once they are out there somewhere else in the world. It's extremely difficult to re-import or to just import back those American guns back into the U.S. So I had to get rid of my entire collection upon moving here. And then I have an M1 carbine in the 30 caliber that also was mint. It was just gorgeous from the Second World War. So it was the original one without the bayonet lug. And you may or may not know about that. The bayonet lug was added, after Second World War on most M1 carbines. All right, you know that. One thing that I really loved was the Springfield 1903. So the M1903. That's a rifle that I have probably 2 or 3 of those in Rome, and I have 2 here because I repurchased them. Actually, I have 3 here now.
Wow, that's amazing.
I really love that. I love 30-06. As a representation of the good old America, great America. This is a powerful caliber, all American. You can hunt with it. You can go to war with it.
Yeah.
It's just great.
Yeah, I
like it.
It
will go bang no matter what.
Yeah, I have myself, I tell you, you are incredible, by the way, collections for here, even for this type of standard, but for Italy, I think probably, wow, it's pretty amazing what you had. Especially thinking about to keep all this and to buy, and of course the price tag, that you pay extra there. I have my M1 Garand that honestly was one of the latest addition that I had, and for me was most of an emotional thing. I really like it as a piece of history, but I bought it through the CMP. I'm sure you're familiar with that. This group is it's a private organization, but works with the government, and they work to let's say resell surplus military rifle to give it to the citizens to try to it was one of the few good things that the federal government did, really, to try to share this gun culture and marksmanship, a civilian marksmanship program, CMP. And I got this M1 Garand, and my mind that I had, because I wanted to keep my ammunition standard, and as much as I love the idea of the 30-06, I didn't have any rifle in 30-06. Mine, they're mostly in 7.62 by 51 NATO. So I got mine that they sold it to me. They can rechamber it, and they rechamber with the 308 or 7.62 by 51 with the spacer.
Of course.
But it's amazing rifle. I think one of the best rifle really I ever own. So you have one now, M1 Garand 2 here right now. Did you got one?
Oh, yes, of course. And I got it. I'll let you speak about the CMP because it was important to let you give the message entirely as one statement. But I am affiliated with the CMP myself as well.
Amazing.
I love the CMP, and that's where I got my M1 Garand as well.
Wow.
Just like you. So these are mainly rebuilt ones, and they're not. At least I went for the cheaper one that still looks gorgeous in my humble opinion.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I swapped the stock that comes with a CMP, which is newer stock, and it's gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
Still gorgeous stock, but I wanted it to look more like Second World War, so I purchased a P-marked, so proof mark stock from the past here, trying to rebuild the look of the original ones.
Remind me, how many years you've been already in the U.S. permanently? 2 years, 3 years? I forgot.
A little less than 2 years.
Wow.
So I've done a lot of stuff in this short time here in the U.S.
Even the fact that BY, you're keeping your business going and you have a family, I'm sure you got a life, you got to take care of your kids and your wife.
Yes,
you have also the time to learn about the CMP and buy all these guns. That's pretty amazing. That was fast, man.
Gianluca, just as you said it, and you said, I told you, even offline, and I'll keep on telling you, and I cannot wait to meet you, but I live live intensely under the light of the values that you named. So it's not that I do it for fake, I do it for real. I really believe in what you said, and those things are the light of our lives, and we do live very intensely here, and we do, and we can. We do because we can. We can here in the U.S., and this is why I wake up very early in the morning, every morning, and I wake up a happy man, John-Lou.
Me too, man.
Older guy, because we're almost 50 years old. In today's world, we're young, right? But
yeah, we are no more 20s. That's for sure.
We're not.
You're no more 20s.
We're not kids anymore.
Yeah.
But I have never enjoyed life as much as I do now. Never enjoyed life as much as I do now.
You know what? I tell you something. I exactly feel what you feel because for me, even now, after 8 years with Obama, and this is not the hour normally I want to go into politics, but let's say it is not just Obama. It's the centralization of government, the restrictions, and the tyranny that is creeping everywhere. It didn't start right now. It's a long process. But even now, if I had to compare, I came here to this country in 1998, okay? And that was before the Patriot Act, before about many different legislation that really destroy some of our rights. But still today, after all these years, I get up in the morning, and sometimes I tell you, I get up at 3:30 in the morning because it's the only time when I can write books. And I wake up with a smile. I wake up with, I don't know, I'm excited. I'm also the same excitement when I had here in 1998 that I was, still with my completely broken English and I was trying to look the way to fulfill what I wanted to do.
Yes.
I still have the same excitement. And I tell you, it's amazing. Even with all this stress that this government is trying to give us and the chains around our neck, I still feel the opportunity you can have here that we don't have anywhere else. That's why I feel what you feel. I understand. And I tell you, I hope, California, I tell you, it's a beautiful scenery. You got great wine. But, we can still buy the wine even from another state. I pray that maybe you can come to meet me in Arizona, maybe fall in love with the area, maybe your wife too. And
I can't wait. I've been there a bunch of times. I'm letting you speak, and as you speak, if you could see me, I am nodding like a penguin, okay? I keep on nodding. I'm going like this. I want everyone to know. I've been to Arizona a bunch of times.
Yeah.
I love that land, man. I love it. I could live happily there. I know for sure.
And anyway, but that's the point. So I understand the feeling. So please continue what you were saying about everything. Go ahead.
Thank you. Yes, we were listing those firearms, and of course I had. You mentioned handguns as well. Of course, I had a bunch of more rifles, a couple of K98Ks, the German ones, which I also used to like very much growing up, and watching those American-made movies about the Second World War. That was so seminal as well, the movies themselves. For example, it comes to mind Saving Private Ryan, which is a much later kind of movie by the end of the 1990s. But I keep on watching that movie very often, and every time I meet, and especially here in the U.S., a veteran of Second World War, and they are very rare now, but they're still out there, some of them. Tears come to my eyes, and I let them know that I am Italian and that those guys saved my used-to-be country, Italy, because my country now is America, and my children are American citizens, by the way. So We're Americans. We're here to stay. I was born here. I'm going to die here, which is what I tell everyone. But when I still meet those veterans, I still cry a little bit. And then it goes away. Because they saved that country back then. So I had a bunch of handguns as well, naturally, and I had a couple 1911s. I had a Luger. I had a Walther, not the P38, that was too expensive. So I got the P1, which is that later model. You know, if you remember, it just looks like a P38 Walther, but it's identical, basically, but it was built in aluminum. The frame is in aluminum as opposed to steel, so it was a little cheaper. And then I swapped the handguards with original Second World War P38 handguards so that I could have, at least in looks, the real deal. And then I had a bunch of more modern polymer handguns as well, including Heckler and Koch, I think it's the way they pronounce it. Once again, the Italians say Heckler and Koch, which I don't even know if it sounds right in English.
Yes.
It could sound embarrassing. So I had...
You had a museum. I tell you, according to the standard, probably you could have supplied to the old Carabinieri in Rome at least, okay? If not more.
Well, I had my gun room there. I don't have it here, but I had it there. And I had a bunch of uniforms that represented America across the centuries. So I had Revolutionary War replica of a uniform of that kind, because, of course, I started shooting black powder first, even before firing modern smokeless powder with modern contemporary guns. And that was, by the way, that's an incredible thing that we as Americans should, and I know many Americans do practice that with the black powder and the muskets, you know, but it's such an amazing experience to just do that, you know, one shot at a time. You have to put your lead ball inside after you put the powder, of course, and then you have to put the powder in the pan. You have to be careful. You have to keep the powder dry and from flying away, and you have to keep from flinching when you shoot the musket, because it's going to go off in a big cloud of white smoke that smells great, by the way. It's going to go out in the sky. So it's really an amazing thing. I had to get in Italy a permit for that as well, of course, in order to shoot it, that is. And I had to take lessons, actually. And the guy who gave me lessons was an ex-Italian champion of shooting muskets and black powder that was very impressed.
Wow.
Because the very first rounds that I shot at the Roman gun range, the government one, which is the one you have to go to in order to sit in the class, he was impressed because he goes,
"What is that?
Ever shot the..."
Is the Poligono Tor di Quinto? Was that one?
Bravissimo. Bravissimo. Yes, it is.
Continue, please.
That was the place. So this Mr. Antonio was the name of the guy. I forget the last name, but we still keep in touch via email every now and then. So he sees me firing this musket, and I had and now let me be proud for a second of a certain past of my Italian heritage, because there's this Italian company that some of our friends here in the U.S. might know. It's called Uberti.
Yes.
Uberti Firearms. It's a very nice replica firearm. I mean, they do make real firearms, but most of them they're replicas of real existing firearms of the past, of any nation. So they do replicas of muskets, real firing muskets, of German muskets, or French muskets, American muskets, or British muskets. And in fact, we come to speaking about the great and huge Brown Bess, which was the musket that was used largely in the American Revolution by the British forces. They started with that, and of course, as the war progressed, more and more brown basses fell into the hands of our great forefathers that fought that war by stealing those muskets from the British and firing those muskets back at the British. So I wanted one of those muskets or two, and I bought this Uberti black powder musket. And I fired my musket with that master of arms, Mr. Antonio, who taught me the very first moves of how to load that weapon and to fire it at 100 yards, which is the maximum range at which we can hope to get something 100 yards for muskets, because they are, of course, smooth bore.
A smooth bore. There is no rifling in the bore. Well, pretty amazing, I tell you.
Sir.
You've done so many things in Italy that I tell you, you really must have a great desire, because to just think to get through these loops, as you said, you got to go to the specific range, you got to find this, everything, even for a black powder, you got to have a permit somehow. And amazing also the fact, you were able, thanks to your job, and to be able to support that, because that's kind of a costly, let's say, hobby, And I tell you, when it comes down to guns, for us, at least for me, and I think for you too, it is not even just about the hobby part. Because normally for hobby I can collect butterflies or look at the stars. It's cheaper, okay? But I think it's like, especially when we come from a place like Italy, that it is not a right, and like you've been eating always bread, and then finally you can put your hands on some lobster. You appreciate it much more, and I do, as I feel like you do. And then for me becomes always the point, the rifle. It is not just something to, of course, you want to display. I have so many rifles. I maybe not as many as you had there, but I have my collections. But for me, every rifle I have, it is a main purpose. It is not even for hunt, because I don't really hunt. It is not even for historical. What I do, it is a tool that at the end of the day, as George Washington called it, it was like pretty much like the thief of liberty. The rifle for me is an instrument to remind to everybody out there that the American people have the right. It's a God-given right, not a privilege, to defend our lives, our families, of course, and our nation against all enemies, foreign and domestic. That's what differentiate us from slaves. I have a T-shirt that comes with the rifle, with the Don't Trade on Us rifle, and the T-shirt says, slaves are never armed. I am not a slave. And I would like to really, with love, send you a copy of my T-shirt to you, and as a gift, because I would love that you have it. Maybe put it on you and send me a photo, and I really appreciate you could do that.
Oh, yes. I would wear it proudly, sir.
So that's what I say really when it comes down to these rifles. It's an instrument that we have probably. I have only 2 arms. You have 2 arms, but guess what? I like to have more than whatever I can afford.
Me too.
I don't buy cars. I don't do drugs. I don't go to casinos, but I enjoy that. And I tell you, it's also.
I don't even drink wine anymore. I don't drink alcohol anymore.
Really? Okay, I'm still doing that. I like organic wine, though. I try to stay away from regular wine.
Me too.
But please continue. I have 5 more minutes, and I want this is so much we could talk, and I have a couple extra things I have to talk today. But please continue. Whatever you want to say, I want to give you the floor, please.
Well, thank you so much. I was keeping on nodding. You were speaking. You were saying your things, and I just kept on nodding.
Now, California. Let's talk about California. We got an idea about Italy. What type of? And Italy is not just Italy, guys. Spain, Germany. I mean, England. I don't even want to tell you that. Okay, not even knives anymore you can own as a citizen. So that's the reality. Now, California. You come from Italy to California, and of course, compared to Europe, you still have. On paper, on the federal Bill of Rights, a right. But we know very well that the state of California is one of the most oppressive states when it comes down to the right to keep and bear arms. What do you think right now, as an American, that you would like to carry a weapon for self-defense? Do you have? Can you apply for a permit in San Diego? How does it work?
You can't. No, you can't. In San Diego, as in most, I think, I learned of the Californian territory, you can't, or actually it's I think, shall issue, or I forget how they call it. So you cannot ask or apply for a permit for self-defense as a reason. Mostly, there are exceptions. I know somewhere it actually works, but
it is not a shall issue.
Here in San Diego.
It is not like they must give it to you. It is may.
No, so that's how may issue. Right. Thank you. Thank you very much for that. We don't want to make confusion.
No, that's okay, but that's the point
to the public.
So the point is this: almost like Italy. This is so sad because think about it. Now I give you just you cross the river. You come here to Arizona. Once you're a resident, you got your Arizona ID that, by the way, takes 5 minutes to get. You drive a license. You don't need to wait 30 days. And it's valid for, I think, till you're 60 or something. It's amazing. You don't need to renew every year. And then you go to, after you're a resident, you can prove that you're a resident with your ID. You can buy any gun, long gun, short gun, doesn't matter. And you can conceal that gun without permit, because the permit is the Second Amendment right. We call it constitutional carry. This is the law that passed a few years ago. We used to have, and we still have, open carry. That means a law-abiding person without criminal record can carry a weapon without permit if it's openly holstered. Let's say on your holster, or if you have a rifle, on your sling. And that was before. Now, not only you can still do that, of course, but you can also conceal that weapon without permit. That's why I really think
without permit.
It's so amazing. You can buy immediately, because I know in California, correct me if I'm wrong, you have like a cooling off period, like 30 days for a gun, right?
You are right. Yes.
So that's the point.
That's correct. Here in California, you go and you go to a gun store. Hi, I'm a civilian. I'd like to purchase this handgun. First off, we have to remind our listeners that in California they have something that is actually probably even worse than what they used to have, than what they still have in Italy, which is the gun roster. They have a handgun roster here in California. That means that only certain models of handguns can be purchased. Now, let me remind you of this, Gianluca, because it's quite stressing for someone like me that likes to collect just because I can now, which is, the huge difference with Italy. I mean, we can here, and I felt different upon arriving. Oh my God, I'm in America. That's so great. And then after a while, I started learning about all the things in California as well. The first thing that hit me was the gun roster. So I wanted this and that. I wanted that handgun, and I wanted that other handgun. For example, I wanted a Smith & Wesson M P9, and I really wanted it, and I couldn't have it because it's off roster. Then I wanted an MP9C compact. Couldn't have it, not on the roster.
Wow.
Then I wanted a Heckler & Koch P30 9mm. Can't have it, not on the roster. Then I wanted a Heckler & Koch VP9, and I'm not on the roster. Do you want me to go on?
No, I got it. You know what? I'm trying to really, I want to, I remember the first time I was still living in California, was exactly 10 years ago more, almost 11 years ago. 2005, 10 years ago, and I came to Arizona for the first time for an event, okay? It was a political event on the borders. And I remember the feeling, getting out of the car, was a little town called Tombstone. It's still there, okay? The famous Tombstone from the movie.
I love Tombstone.
And you see all these ladies and regular guys, even dressed in, historical cowboys, whatever. But the bottom line is they were walking around town with their guns. And I said, wow. This is pretty, and I asked, this is real? This is not only real, but it's no permits. Say, wow, this is the place I want to be. And, God worked really in a way that somehow I was able to get out of California then. And then when I found Arizona, I was saying, this is for me was the real America that I really dreamt. And I don't know about you, one thing I used to like when I was in Italy was, of course, AC/DC, music like that. And then another thing I used to love was the spaghetti western movies. And Sergio Leone.
I'm a great fan of that.
Oh man,
Sergio Leone and all the entire thing, even the obscure ones. I still watch those.
Yeah, and Arizona was one of the places that somehow, even of course, many spaghetti western were made in Spain or maybe even around Rome. But there was one
around Rome as well. You said it right. Yeah.
Yeah, and there was one movie that I realized there was one was called C'era una volta in West. There was.
Oh my goodness! Yeah. Once Upon a Time in the West. Of course.
Yeah, and I got that one, and I realized that they're one of the places that they were shot at the end of the movie. There was in Apache County. Okay, and that's where
I didn't know.
And anyway, and that was for me Arizona that I always wanted to come to, and it's funny. My grandfather, bless his soul, is dead now. When I was a child, I used to go to his office. Was a businessman, and he had a guitar there, and he always used to sing me serenades. And one of the songs he used to sing was Laggiù nell'Arizona, del tango delle capi nere. Yeah.
Yes.
And I think he brainwashed me with that, and that's probably one of the reasons why I really wanted to come here. Listen, I want to say...
I am sure that that's one of the reasons. So bless your...
I want to invite you officially.
Soul.
I want to invite you officially, and maybe I really believe nothing happens by accident. We found each other all the way from Rome. Probably we were pretty close. You used to live in Parioli. I used to live in Cassia, not that far.
Almost we were neighbors.
Yeah.
We're basically neighbors. That's amazing.
And we are neighbors right now, too, just a state between. There is a
I'm
river.
Coming.
And I hope your lady, I can convince maybe your lady to look at Arizona. Has a lot of beauty. We have lakes.
Of course, yes.
There are mountains, and there is desert. And I hope maybe I can convince you, or maybe just you convince yourself to say, maybe there is, of course, California is great, but for tax reasons, for freedom reason, and gun rights.
For many reasons.
And also
for many reasons. I moved from Italy to here. I'm not afraid of moving between and across states here in the United States of America, as millions of American citizens, natives do and have done across the centuries even. So I'm coming to visit you.
Perfect.
I'm going to get you.
Very good. So listen, send me your address. I have a little goodie bag for
now.
you. I'm going to get you a T-shirt. And by the way, since it's time to plug, let me plug my own sponsor. I sponsor my own show. So that's the way I keep my show free. I don't need to beg for sponsor. And I want to remind everybody that the Zanna Coffee is out there. I have the new blend called 1776 organic coffee to brew a revolution. Okay, and it's great. You can go to zannacoffee.com and you see that there are specials. You can get 3 bags, and for incredible price. It's all organic, GMO free, and we do not use slaves. This is a fair trade. And remember, when you purchase the Zanna Coffee, you don't just get great organic coffee, but also you support the show, Love, Guns, and Freedom, and we keep freedom of speech well alive here on the air. That's what I want to say. And please send me your address. I would love to give you little goodie bags with some of my stuff to you, okay?
May you be blessed.
Thank you. Listen, one more time, give the website of your place, please, your SoloDallas website, and how people can reach you if they have any questions about the incredible special effects that you create for guitar.
Thank you so much. Yes, the address is www.solodallas.com. And Solo is just like Han Solo of Star Wars, which is in fact a foolish name that I put together 20 years ago, but it stuck. So SOLODALLAS as the city of Dallas. SoloDallas, it's a whole word altogether.com.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Please, guys, don't go away. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom. We'll look at Zanna, a little break. We'll come back with some more news. Hey, you. Yes, I'm talking to you. You deserve a break. Enjoy a moment of indulgence. It's time for Zanna Coffee. Guilt-free pleasure. Zanna Coffee is the organic coffee to amplify your senses and enhance love for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Only the best organic and GMO-free coffee beans from around the world that I selected. Zanna Coffee brings you happiness in every cup. Fair trade certified, sustainable organic coffee. That means we do not use slaves. Free Zanna songs with every coffee bag. Find Zanna Coffee at www.zannacoffee.com. www.zannacoffee.com. Get your coffee bag now. Don't be cheap. Life is too short, and you deserve the best. Zanna Coffee. Here we go, guys. This is luca-zanna. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom. This is the final hour. It was an exciting interview with my friend Phil, originally from Rome. He was almost a neighbor of mine. And I tell you, this is exactly the purpose of the show, is to connect people and to share also different reality, what we have in America, what we had, what we are losing, and exactly, how we're going to get it back. Now, this is also, I remind you, this show, of course, is not live. You know that. I don't like to cross the border and go to California, to the station. But, I do produce the show during the week.
at the same time, I really like to have the opportunity, give the opportunity to every one of you guys to have the floor. After all, this is the microphone that I want to share with you. This is not about me. It's about with the people. And I want your help. I want your input. And I said, especially if sometimes we have disagreement, I tell you, you can tell me, you can call me any name you want. That's fine. But one thing you know for sure, I will never deny you the opportunity to be on the show and even challenge me in the arena of the ideas. Only thing I ask you, of course, we don't go here to call each other's name. We can do that on the street if you want to, but here it's about a constructive dialogue, and of course also we have to comply with the FCC rules. So, anybody who wants to be on the show, all you have to do is send me an email, zanna@zanna.us. And by the way, before I go ahead now with the caller that is calling in, I would like to remind, something kind of sad. I had last Sunday on the show the case regarding the lawsuit against candidate for sheriff Corey Merriman. And of course, I invited also the other side, the person who is suing Corey Merriman, this dentist in Fort Mohave, Mr. Mark Collins, and he didn't want to come. That's fine. I gave him the chances to both of them. Corey Merriman came. Mr. Collins is going to go through probably the different process. That's fine. At the same time, I was told by somebody that this is not just somebody like, I don't like to attack privately people, people that they are not in the public. Honestly, I don't like to attack anybody. But somebody throw a rock at me, I have the duty to defend myself. And more important, I would like to challenge you. If you make an accusation, call me that you somehow, let's say, you think that I don't have integrity, or maybe I'm doing something wrong. I'm not hiding from you. I invite you here on the show, and I give you the microphone. I want to hear from you, because maybe I'm doing something wrong. But I want to give you the chance. I also want to give the chance to myself to defend myself with facts. In this case, is another candidate for a sheriff, exactly is his wife, Mrs. Cindy Schuster, that after I posted that interview from YouTube about the Corey Merriman lawsuit of last Sunday, she wrote on, on Facebook, on Love, Guns, and Freedom Facebook. Funny, this is her talking, funny how you mentioned Dr. Collins is supporting Head. In this case is, another candidate running for sheriff. Mr. Head is the deputy also chief of the sheriff department, Mohave County, Rodney Head, and may have a hidden agenda. But you didn't mention anything about David Johnson, the guy that I interviewed 2 weeks before, this is like a soap opera almost, supporting Merriman when he filed his ridiculous allegations against Schuster. You pretend to be fair and unbiased, but the truth is you're using your show to benefit one candidate and one candidate only. Shame on you. Okay, I said, by the way, I invite you and your husband on the show, and also invite Jim Lisa, that is also the person that is taking care of the campaign. And please bring all these facts about me, and I would like to prove you that you're wrong. Simple as that. And I was very nice also. I say, I'm going to bring you coffee and my Zanna coffee and some cookies to show that I'm not afraid about anything I do. I think about it and I stand behind it. And I gave her the opportunity. Okay, of course, she blocked me. And Mr. Schuster, after this post, because I invited him, I didn't say I don't want to start to type in on Facebook and prove my point there. I'm not a Facebook armchair. But anyway, this is interesting. Let's see who's calling somebody. Maybe it's them. No, of course it's not them. But let me just bring you 1 second now the guest that we have right now, because I would like to say this is the opportunity every one of you can have, and I wish you will get it. If we have something to say, bring it on. Now, I have another candidate for sheriff that I had exactly a couple of months ago maybe, and he's back. He has something to say. Let him introduce himself. Hey, John, are you there?
Yeah, hey, thank you for letting me speak. That's kind of an interesting turmoil that's going on in the sheriff's office. So I don't think I introduced myself. This is John-Plough. I'm also a candidate for sheriff, and so far I've been lucky that none of the mud that's been thrown around has hit me, thank God. But I'm not totally read in on everything that's going on, and I hear a lot of things because, when you're a candidate, people call you and tell you stuff. And I'm in the race to win it for myself, and I can say that so far, and I'm not sure about what's going on with Doug Schuster and the campaign finance thing, so I'll stay out of that. I'm not a lawyer. But so far, most of the stuff that I have heard has really just been nonsense. And maybe it's kind of silly for me to even say that because I'm in the race, and maybe some of this mud should sling to the other candidates. But I just want to point that out. If I had heard anything so far that was really egregious, or if I had solid evidence about, I would be talking about the things that I am hearing. But so far, it's a lot of hearsay. And I actually did get hit by something that came, kind of sideways. And, I heard it, and I was sort of shocked. And so I said, hey, see if you can get me some proof of this. And so they went and looked it up, and, of course, it turns out that it was not really true anyway. And so I'll just put out there that I'm a gunsmith right now by profession. I have a federal firearms license. So that means I'm squeaky clean. So if you guys hear anything about me, just remember you don't get a federal firearms license unless you're squeaky clean.
Okay.
The other interesting thing that that I would put out is based on the topic you were talking about before about immigration. You always hear that people say the United States is a country of immigrants, and it's interesting. That's kind of true. Although my family, we immigrated here from Holland in the 1640s. The Ploughs are almost as native as you can get, being white people in the United States. My dad traced us all the way back to, I forget the name of the boat, but we pulled into Massachusetts in the 1640s. So even I'm an immigrant. And what I like about Luca, your story, is that you came over, and it seems to me, I haven't met you personally, but I've been looking at you from afar, that you're like a multiple entrepreneur. You have all of these fishing lines in the water, and you're doing your own thing, and you're successful. And I like that. I think that's great. That's what makes America strong.
Thank you. I like to have fun. This is, sorry to interrupt you. For me to come to America, it wasn't about even to make an extra dollar. Of course, we need to live, and I have my own philosophy about life. I like to be independent as much as I can. But also was about as a fulfillment as a human being. We have all dreams, and we have our own potential to fulfill. And I realized the most important manure for let's say, I don't want to even call it wealth. It's about wellness. It's about happiness. It's freedom. Money come and go. Doesn't matter. But with freedom, you can make everything happen. And I tell you, I see, is comparing to Italy, this country is still America. Of course, we have been bashed and hit very hard, especially the last 15, 16 years, not just with Obama, even before Obama. But of course, the last 8 years has been devastating. But I tell you, the American spirit is still here. And that's really what makes the difference between this country, in my opinion, among the rest of the world. Continue, please.
Well, you just mentioned pretty much the main reason I decided to run for sheriff of Mohave County. Any of your listeners who heard the last interview, they know I'm not a cop. I'm a Navy veteran, and I've been in the Persian Gulf twice, once on a Navy ship and once as a merchant mariner. And I've made my living really as a private businessman. And so I waited, and I was watching to see who was going to get in the race and see if they were going to answer the concerns that I have about what you just talked about the freedom that we have in this country is being killed by bureaucrats in our federal government. It's not even so much the elected people, because they come and go, but the guy who's sitting over at the BLM, who is a Agenda 21 wackadoodle, he's always there, and so he is always in a position to drive somebody crazy.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the other candidates, they started announcing their runs for sheriff, last year, and I was waiting to hear someone say, I'm going to make Mohave County safe, at least from all of these knuckleheads in the federal bureaucracy who are abusing their power. And I didn't hear anybody do it. So I thought, You know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to throw my hat in the ring, and if the people want to have their freedom protected, at least from the unconstitutional nonsense, I'm going to stand tall and do it for them, and the sheriff has the authority.
Yes, I would like to remind everybody that, you're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with luca-zanna on KTOX 1340 AM. This is john-plough that is running for sheriff. Now, I have a question for you. We talked last time, and honestly, I'm not sure what's going on with the deadlines of the signature. When is exactly the official deadline to give the signature in, please?
I'm glad you brought that up, because one of the other candidates, who I'm not going to name because it turned out it was an honest mistake, misinformed me, and we thought that the last deadline was a couple of days ago, and I was a little concerned that I might have messed up and put myself out of the race. It turns out we actually have until June 1st.
Wow!
So you can still sign my petition if you want to go down to Walt's Upholstery Shop. And I was out today, still gathering signatures to get on the ballot, and I bumped into a couple of legal immigrants who own their own business, and they've been here, I think, about 8 years, and they're doing very well. I won't give you a lot of details because they didn't give me permission to describe them on the air. But it's neat because people who come to the United States like you did, and they come voluntarily from other countries legally, they actually seem to have a better understanding of what America is all about than a lot of us, who have been born here. The whole point of the United States is that you're supposed to be free to be able to pursue your life however you want to do it, as long as you don't encroach on your neighbor.
Yeah, that's what it used to be.
If you just want to be like me and work out of your garage as a gunsmith, you ought to be able to do it. And God, you ought to see all the nightmare hoops I had to jump through to get, legally approved to do it. But, I'm legal and it's done. Or if you want to sell coffee and cookies and be on the radio like you're doing, there shouldn't be a lot of government entanglements. These particular guys, they own a couple of retail stores. I talked to somebody today who used to have a daycare center in Bullhead City, and they shut it down. And you're going to be shocked by this. This isn't really a sheriff issue, but I'm just pointing it out.
Go ahead, please.
Their license, in order to run a daycare in Arizona, they told me cost them $8,000 a year.
Wow.
I couldn't believe that. I was floored. I thought, man, this is Arizona. It's not even that expensive in California.
Yeah.
And she told me that that's why they shut it down. They didn't want to deal with the expensive fees and all of the regulation. And let's face it, folks, after you've done a background check, okay, and we know you're not a weirdo, what other regulation is there for a daycare? You're babysitting kids. You got 14 kids in a room. All you got to do is make sure the place doesn't burn down. I don't see why you got to pay $8,000. But the point is because of the over-regulation, that daycare just shut down. So the residents of Bullhead City and Mohave Valley no longer have that business around that they can take care of because somebody in the government decided we need to fleece daycares. And so we have the regulation. It's in all aspects of our lives. If you look at this issue with these poor ranchers, it's not just the Bundy Ranch or Lavoy Finicum. It's going on in Texas, Oregon, Nevada. It's anywhere where there is a federal government official who thinks he's a Greenpeace wacko who's going to use his authority to screw with you because he doesn't like people who raise cows or whatever. And it's everywhere.
Did you hear about, John, sorry to interrupt, did you hear about in Havasu at Lake, the new, this is something that's becoming now pretty official because there was also a letter to the editor by Mayor, Lake Havasu Mayor Mr. Nixon, pretty much denouncing and trying to stop the federal government to close down all these trails and also access to the beach by the federal government. They're going to try, they will do it. Forget about trying. Their mind is already done deal. Close down all these trails to citizens, to human beings, and of course also access part of the beach in that area because they call it a refuge. And exactly like happened in Oregon, now it's happening here. The refuge means that a rock and a bird is more important than us humans. Did you hear about that, what's happening right now in Havasu?
Yes, I'm read in on that, and what I want people to understand that the solution to these problems long term is not the sheriff. All I can do is put my finger in the dike and slow it down. The solution for these problems long term is that we have to force our legislators. Now, Mohave County, that is Paul Gosar, I believe is what his name is. He's our rep.
Yes.
And our senators, we have to force them to pass legislation to take the power away from the bureaucracy. If we get a simple amendment to any bill that says the local community gets to determine lake access on federally regulated waterways, problem is solved. Then you have a vote with the city council or the county board of supervisors, and we determine it. And the United States is supposed to be about local control. And I see all of these people, they're talking about these issues like there's something that can be done, locally. Well, let's go talk to the BLM. Listen, the BLM's already made up their mind.
Yeah.
They think they have the authority to do this, and they're going to do it no matter what we say. So the real tactic to take here is number one, we need to get a law passed in Arizona, in our own legislature, that says the BLM can't do this. Now, that gives the sheriff an avenue where he can go after them. It's one thing for the sheriff to say, okay, I'm going to decertify the BLM. You can't make arrests anymore in my county. Okay, I've got the authority to do that. That doesn't change the speed limit on the river. That doesn't get the roads opened back up.
Yeah.
So what does that is legislation saying the BLM can no longer close off access for non-safety reasons inside of the state of Arizona. Problem solved. So you need to get a hold of your state representatives. You need to call the governor's office. And if you care about these local sovereignty issues, you have to stop fighting the battle the way the politicians want you to fight it, which is going to these stupid meetings, and pick up the phone and say, we want legislation, and you're going to do it. And if they give you any kind of song and dance on this, because believe me, I know the politicians are in on it. They just like to pretend they have no control. They have control. All it takes is a bill.
Yeah.
You get a hold of these people, and you tell them we're going to hold you accountable. This is what the bill is going to say, and you're going to pass it, or we're going to tear your ass out of that office. I hope you can beat that.
No, it's okay. This is okay. This is okay. It's still FCC compliance. Listen, no, I understand. It's true. It's very true. We need to go to the core of the beast, and unfortunately, the BLM, the real heart cancer, of this enemy, it is exactly in Washington. We need to address it there, and of course, also in our state capital. We need to reclaim our sovereignty as a 10th Amendment, and our state legislator, they need to start to do their steps. Completely agree. Listen, coming back to the elections, you've been doing this. It's the first time, I guess, you run for office, right, as a sheriff?
Yes, this is the first time I have run. My father ran for sheriff of Mohave County back in 1990, and I helped him in his campaign. But, for me personally, this is the first time I've been involved with it.
Since we have June, still another month, how many signatures is the official number to be qualified to be on the ballot for the sheriff office? How many signatures you need?
I believe the way it works is you have to have 1/2 of 1% of the registered people who are in your party. And so registered Republicans, I think the number comes in at 2 1/4. And
okay, give me a number.
They scrutinize. Yeah, 225. They scrutinize they scrutinize all the signatures. The person's got to be, legally able to vote. They got to be registered in the county, and you got to be able to read it. So, realistically,
400.
You got to get more than that. You got to have around 400 or so to get on the ballot.
Okay. And how far are you from there?
I'm getting close. The hardest part for me, that I have had is a neophyte. Like I told you before, when I first came into the race, the county political kind of people do not really want to have a non-cop as their sheriff because they know I don't have the groupthink mentality. I'm a civilian. I'm not going to follow orders. I'm going to do what I think my oath of office means I'm going to have to do, and I don't owe anybody any favors or anything. So there have been some people who are working in the party who have been very helpful for me. So I'm not down on the Republican
Okay,
Party.
but
But there have been others who have.
How
who have
many?
kind of
How
been
many? I mean,
obstructionists.
if you don't want to say, that's fine. But we need about 400
I don't want to
signatures.
say.
That's
I'm going
fine.
to be on the ballot, though,
Okay,
Luca.
okay, that's fine.
the
That's
point.
fine. That's okay. I want to just, straight to the point. That's good. Listen, if in case you see Schuster, did you meet candidate Schuster a few times? I'm sure, right?
Yes, I have met. I've met all of the candidates, and
And do me a favor.
on
if
a
you
personal level, they've all been nice to me.
Yeah.
But I still think I should be sheriff because of the reasons I've laid out.
Good.
You
Listen to me. I have almost the time to go. In case you see him, give him a message. Luca, Zanna Coffee is waiting for him and his lady. Seriously, I invite him. My invitation was honest and real, because if they have a concern about my integrity, I like to talk about this on the air. And for the occasion, I will go live. I will go straight to the station, because I don't like to leave things behind. I always like to face things. When somebody has a problem, let's face it. In a civil way, we can somehow clear it up. So in case you see him, say, by the way, Mr. Zanna said he really wants like to have you on the show to clarify that sort of, accusation by his wife, because it's the wife, she said what she said to me. I didn't say anything bad to them. But anyway, listen, I want to say thank you. Good luck with your campaign. And let's see the best man or the best woman be the next sheriff. That's all I can say. All I can do is everybody's welcome on the show. I will give you the microphone, and you make your point, guys. And at the point, the people of Mohave County will decide. That's all I can do. I give you 30 seconds. Say your website or whatever you want to say, John.
Hey, thank you for listening, everybody, and thank you for letting me have some time to speak. This is john-plough. I'm running for Mohave County Sheriff, and the website is ploughforsheriff.com, and you can stop by any of the local party offices and sign my petition if you've liked what I've said, and I would appreciate it if you would.
Very good. Okay, guys, you're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom. We look at Zanna. We're almost at the end. Don't forget, this is not NPR. We need your support. Support the station, and more important, support myself. This is an independent show. So go to zannaart.com. You can get one of my T-shirts, or you can go to zannacoffee.com. Or don't forget the new rifle, Don't Tread on Us, the most affordable military-grade rifle, AR-15 semi-automatic, for just $499 with a bunch of bonuses. Go to freedomrifle.com. Now, we're almost there. Don't go away.
Don't tread on us.
Do you want social justice? Now I give you social justice. The Zanna way. Don't trade on us. The Freedom Rifle by Zanna. The most affordable military-grade semi-automatic AR-15 rifle in M4 configuration. Chambered in 223 Wild that can shoot both 5.56 NATO and 223 Remington. 4 minutes of angle for just $499. Made in the USA. Get your Freedom Rifle now. We need every law-abiding American armed with knowledge and at least one military rifle ready to defend good against evil. With every Don't Tread on Us rifle, you will get free parchment replica of the United States Constitution, free digital CD, Don't Tread on Us, free ebook, How to Become a Rifleman, free t-shirt, Slaves Are Never Armed, I Am Not a Slave, free 30-round magazine where allowed by the law, free laser engraved ejection port, Don't Tread on Us, for just $499. Go to www.freedomrifle.com, www.freedomrifle.com. Get your Freedom Rifle now. We go, guys. That was pretty much it for today. You've been listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom. We look at Zanna. I want to say something. First of all, thank you. Thank you to all of you, people who likes the show, even people who hates the show. That's fine. That's fine. I appreciate you listening, regardless. And sometimes I really believe I don't deserve to be here. After all, I'm still learning. I'm trying to do my best, and I appreciate your patience. I want to say I'm very humble when I receive emails like this one from a lady from Scotland, Irish. That I never met her, but we've been in correspondence, and I feel sorry for your loss or your beautiful big dog. It was such a beautiful dog. His name is was Blue. So I want to say thank you for just writing me. I appreciate it. And please, when I say, support the show, and listen, if you cannot, for example, let's say if you're in England, You cannot buy a bag of coffee. I understand that. Don't get mad, okay? I'm not mad. I love you, no matter what. I appreciate you listening to the show, and I appreciate you promoting the show. You do what you can. All I can say, thank you very much just for putting up with me. And I really feel humble to have now this sort of a new almost friends spread around the world. When I started the show, I thought it was going to be just a local little radio show, and that still it is probably. But the internet really is opening wider frontiers. Thank you very much, my friends, and I want to say this one more time. God's willing, I will talk to you next Sunday. If you want to help the show, please go to zanna.us, even just with 99 cents. You can download any of my songs through my website or on Amazon or iTunes, and doing so, you will keep the show free. Also, of course, if you're in the US, you want to support also drinking incredible great coffee, go to zannacoffee.com. So there is so many things you can do. Even get a t-shirt. Go to zannaart.com. I know I sound like always I'm pimping stuff. Guess what? That's the way I pay bills. I don't constrain you. I don't force you like the government. I always ask you politely. Thank you for your support, and I'll talk to you next Sunday. You've been listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca-Zanna.